check. 1 2 1 2. We live, baby. Come on. That's right. Okay. Can you hear me now? Oh, let's go. It's your boy Big Chew, the voice of the beat.
You know what I won't
blaze up.
Come on, blaze up.
It's a beat for me.
Wow, 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 wow. For your guy, for your B-O-Y. Drop it for your guy, for your B-O-Y. Do it for your guy, for your B-O-Y. Come on, baby, we live. For your boy. For your boy. Hustle for your boy. Fix it for your boy. Drop it for your, lift it up. Then it bust it open, lift it up. Yeah, come on, lift it up. Then it bust it open for your B-O-Y. Bend it, for you, rock it for you, lift it up, baby. Mix it with your bossa now.
Come on, blaze up. You know.
Drop me a nasty beat.
Hey y'all. Y'all know it's our favorite day, Educational Friday. What's up? How y'all doing? Get on up in here. I know you're probably asking why I'm looking like one of the Ninja Turtles by the forehead. Well, what happened was the Aunt Flo is on the way and she left the Amazon package real early. And it's a pimple under here. So I had to go ahead on and put a headband on looking like I'm in Karate Kid Part 5. You know what I'm saying? So please forgive me for the headband. Aunt Flo left an Amazon package down at the door in the form of a pimple. Okay? So, sorry about that. I had to just put that out there because I'm looking at it and it looks crazy, but at the end of the day, I got to do what I got to do. I didn't want nobody to see another microphone on my forehead. I be saying I have a third eye. I didn't want nobody to think that was the third eye. It's right here. So anyways, welcome to Educational Friday, you guys. How are you? I hope everything is going well. It is Friday, our favorite day of the week. And I have to be honest with you guys. Normally, I'm never as excited for a live until it's Educational Friday. That's when I'm excited for the live. So I think that's big. I think that is huge. I'm happy that we're all here. And yeah, I think it's going to be a time. Okay. What is going on? What is going on? I was trying to stream from Rumble too, but it's acting crazy. I put the stream key in now. I can't change the start time. Okay. All right, girl, whatever. Anyways, welcome to the dollhouse, you guys. Like I said, it's Educational Friday, our favorite day of the week. Let's get into some things now. Oh, girl, and one of them keep falling off. It keep coming apart. So this young girl, I'll just put it down. This young girl in Vegas, when I went to meet my best friend and see her out there, we went and found some it's somebody's birthday. Happy birthday, Sheila. Happy birthday, Sheila. Shout out to the Pisces. Yes. Happy birthday, Sheila. Happy birthday. Okay. Where was I going? Oh, yeah. These earrings I got from a young girl in Vegas. She makes them all herself. I don't have the little thing on me. I've put them up here before. So I'll get it before the live is out. But let's get into this. First of all, thank y'all for everybody showing up. Also, please be sure y'all to follow me on all platforms. Please subscribe to my Patreon. Subscribe to the Patreon. Y'all know I'm over here, doing free 99 videos, and that's fine because I just love seeing you guys and I love coming and bring you guys information. So I don't really be tripping. But if you would like to support the doll, it's simple, just like the video. If you would like to support in other ways, Cash App right there. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no worries. If you like the video, that is enough for me. I'm just here and happy to be here to be over here talking to y'all because I think that is a big thing for me. Shout out to everybody who pulled up to the morning Joes at the Voodoo Doll main page dollhouse. It was fun. I felt bad for the girl Rach after I got off. I was conflicted. If y'all was on there this morning, I was kind of conflicted because at first I felt bad. No, I still feel bad. I do, but I felt like it was becoming. I felt like she was trying to distract us, and I didn't like that. You know, it's one thing to disagree, but I just felt like it was a distraction. But ultimately, it's no shade to Rach. Rach, if you're on here or if you see this video, girl, it's no shade. You know, come on back to the dollhouse if you would like to. You know what I'm saying? That's all I got for that. But I just felt bad. But then again, I was just like, but she was really trying to mess something up, you know? Anyways, where else was I going? Oh, so shout out to everybody who pulled up to the morning Joes. We've already done one Patreon meetup. When was that? A couple days ago. We will be doing at least 2 a week. I need everybody to get their money's work. So at least once or twice a week, we will be meeting up at Patreon. So if you would like to be in the know where we can all and listen, in Patreon, everybody could come up because everybody will be able to say something and come on up. So I think that if you want to be a part of that, you know, come on down to the Patreon. We be talking about real stuff. There's no filter. There's nobody looking. Ain't nobody watching. Come on over and say what it is you got to see. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no dragging. What happens in Patreon stays in Patreon unless somebody shares the link. That's out of my control. But I do make sure that only the people with payment can have the link. So yes, let's all, you know, shout out to everybody who be over there. Quanda PTV still trying to be a mod. Voodoo, what happened? Girl, Quanda, where you been at? I just hired about 10 mods. I don't need no more right now. If I did need one, it wouldn't be on YouTube. I tell you that. But I won't lie, I don't have a whole bunch of people on the other platforms as of yet. But stand by, Quanda P. Stand by, because once the dog get up and running, because I will be up and running. I mean, it's just not a matter of if, it's just a when. I will definitely be looking for you, okay? So please always remind me when I start talking about, hey, I got more people over here on this platform. I need somebody to stand by. Please, I will be looking for people. Hey, my aunt pulling up from Twitch. Shout out to everybody pulling up from Twitch, Instagram, not Rumble, because I don't think it's streaming. Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Shout out to everybody. YouTube Abundance and Clarity. Make sure y'all, when I'm looking for new mods, I'm telling you, I'm going to get on here. Make sure y'all remind me, okay? Because I'm not going to be able to remember. I ain't going to lie. But remind me. And if you said, oh, Voodoo, you told me to remind you, I know I'm going to remember. All right. What else I want to say? Any other than that, have y'all liked the video, guys? Diana says, I mean, like in the replay game, but when I catch a live, my name does come out. Your name is on here right now, boo boo. You on here? You on here? I promise. Oh, I like that. Hey, Yusef. TGI Educational Friday. I like that. So, like I said, y'all pull up to the doggone what you call them. Now, let's get into where we were last week. I'm so mad. I had all of the timestamps for all of these topics, all of these notes. I had 4 of these. I can only find 2. The bad part is most of the 2 on here we didn't already cover, but it's cool. I kind of can maybe gauge where we were and what we need to be going into moving on. So, you know, it is what it is. Now, if you guys were on the last Educational Friday, let's just do a quick recap. We were speaking about this documentary called 1965, The Southern Negro. Actually, I've also found other parts of that documentary that we're going to go over. But in this documentary, we were talking about the voting rights thing going on in Mississippi back in the 60s, 65 to be exact, and how the NAACP pulled up to co-opt the movement that they already had going. And we know, well, we've been taught in Educational Fridays that was the job of Martin Luther King, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, NAACP, and literally mostly all of your people that y'all see down here, that they put in if they in the social studies book, they probably was a doggone op in a plant, okay? So we found out that Martin Luther King was a spy and an op. Also, he was the people that he hung with, rolled with, also NAACP, amongst another group. Now, their jobs around America was to calm the Negro down, okay? So, for instance, down in Mississippi, when the people were ready to go to blows behind their voters' rights, it was the NAACP that was called there to make sure that they did not go crazy. And it also gave the people, the government, time to get National Guard, police, all these people there in response so that they won't have to be behind, because this is the quiet truth about all of this. The quiet truth about all of this is there's a reason that we are studied the way we are studied. There's a reason that we are surveillanced the way we are surveillanced, because there's a threat there. They know it, we don't know it, you know. And this has been something that's been going on since then. It's actually still going on now. We have Al Sharpton literally coming out saying, yes, I am an FBI informant. Duh. All of them are. Every single one of them are. Okay. Listen, they're all informants. Their job is to go back to the man and say, hey, this is what's going on, so that the man can then prepare and be ready for defense. That's literally their job. Okay. So I don't want people to feel like, you know, as it pertains to Educational Friday, I'm telling you now, if you have soft feelings about these so-called figures, this is probably not the live for you, because what we're doing at Educational Friday is unlearning a lot of lies and BS that we were taught back in the day. We've already started another documentary called, I don't want to lie, let me go get the documentary. It's called King in the Wilderness, the Last Years of MLK Jr.'s Life. In this documentary last week, we heard Dr. King speaking a lot to President, who was the president at the time? Before Nixon. It was before Nixon. Shit. The president at the time. We'll get to it, right? He was speaking a lot, and his job was to check in and talk to the president. What we also found out is, and what we're going to find out moving on today, is that girl, Martin Luther Johnson, thank you, Johnson. Martin Luther King, he was set up by Black people. Y'all remember the infamous shot of when he was unfortunately laid on the balcony of the hotel, and you see the men pointing? Let's go get it so you can see what I'm talking about, because this is the part we're getting into now. We also had Harry Belafonte literally get up here and tell us how Martin Luther King literally, like, he envied him because he was able to be with his clear women, whereas Martin Luther King couldn't. He also brought out the fact that Martin Luther King was in love with a clear woman. We'll go over that a little bit, just for the people who wasn't here yesterday, okay? We'll go over that a little bit. But he was in fact in love with a clear woman. So at this time in the situation, he's on his way to Tennessee. He hasn't been slain yet, but he's considering going to Tennessee. He's realizing that nobody that's supposed to have his back has his back, and he done cussed the folks out. And you know, it's a whole lot of things. Hold on. I want to show y'all this. I want to show y'all this photo, because this is extremely important. Mind you, like I said, what's the man name? Al Sharpton came out and said he is in fact FBI. Take a look at this photo. Y'all know the infamous photo. This one right here. Y'all know these infamous photos. You see him pointing up? Mind you, Martin Luther King, he wasn't even supposed to go on this trip, but he ended up not following his first mind and going anyway. And when he went on this trip, the people in this doggone photo with him are the ones who guided him out to the balcony and had, unfortunately, coincidentally, he was slain. Now, let me say this. I don't believe in coincidences. And what we've also found out is this is after the I Have a Dream speech. This is after the I Have a Dream speech, right? So right now, Malcolm, my God, this is around the time him and Martin start getting cool. Martin's whole thing now is, I want economic rights for Black people. Not only just Black people, poor people, all people. Martin's whole thing is, I want economic equality. That's why he's saying we coming to get our check. That's all around this time. And this is when he was slain. I believe, this is just my belief. I don't know this to be true, but I believe that this is why he was slain, because we hired you to do one thing and you ventured off into something completely different. That's my belief. It was almost like he turned Judas over at the FBI people. We all know that, what's his name? J. Edgar Hoover hated him. J. Edgar Hoover even talked about how much power he had as a leader and how he had to be stopped. You know, you ever heard that song with Kanye West? No one man shall have all that power. That's literally the way J. Edgar Hoover felt about Martin Luther King. He had him under super, super strict surveillance, caught him with women, all types of things. Even today, they're alleging that the FBI is supposed to be releasing sex tapes from Martin Luther King. Now, granted, it's not going to be video, but they say it's audio, and we would be shocked with what we hear. Like I said, if you are sensitive about people, you should probably not watch Educational Fridays, meaning if you have such an attachment to people that you don't know, that you will be easily offended, Educational Friday is not for you, because it's not to expose nobody. It's literally here so we can unlearn a lot of the BS we were taught in school. Let me say this also. I've always wondered, why is it that we all, when it comes to Black History Month, all we get is Martin Luther King, Martin Luther King, Martin Luther King. And I'm sitting here saying, well, damn, him and Malcolm wanted the same thing, but they went about it different ways. Why are we able to accept Martin? And why does the clear man accept Martin, but demonize Malcolm? Because Martin was on the payroll. Malcolm was not. Malcolm was slain because he was another man that had power and influence. Martin was slain because he was a man that had power and influence, but also ultimately because he was a Judas. He turned key on the people that he was working for. That's another thing. Thank you, Rashawn. Supposedly, Dr. King didn't pass from that assassination attempt, and he was smothered in the hospital. I have seen so many accounts of that. And I believe it. Because the job at the time was for these people to get rid of him. Now, let's get into this doggone documentary. I want to go back a little bit for people who wasn't here last. Let me go. I got the timestamp. For people who weren't here last week, I want to talk to you guys about. I want to go over. Harry Belafonte speaking on how he was in love with a clear woman. Now, see, this is gonna, if you didn't watch last week, please go back last week. It's called Educational Friday. We talked about a lot. We spoke about a lot. It was a lot going on. Let's get into this, because this is gonna kind of give, and again, we went over it a little last week, but I want you guys to read it and hear it for yourself, okay? That's why I like using documentaries, because I don't want to say it because they're going to say I'm lying, I'm hating. I had a girl on Twitter saying that I'm an op because I said disparaging things about Martin Luther King. I'm only telling you what they said. And if anybody wants to unfollow me because I say something about one of your faves, rather past or present, I'm perfectly fine with that. Just don't send me a dissertation as to why you unfollowed. Just go ahead on and go fat. Okay? Let's get into this. And this right here is Martin Luther King, Harry Belafonte, his good friend, and he's over there talking about how Martin Luther King was in love with a clear woman. Mind you, he is married with 4 children to Coretta. He's married at this time to Coretta, okay? Let's get into it.
Wasn't doing his best. I think because of his feeling that somehow he wasn't good enough to be the leader. Those were periods when he was really just physically exhausted.
Dr. King came to New York with great regularity. And whenever he was here on quiet time, he often stayed at our home. And we also made sure that his space was filled with the things that brought him pleasure, including his favorite drink, Bristol Cream Sherry. I think one of the things that attracted him to my environment was that here I was, a very prominent Black American. And my wife then was a young woman named Julie Robinson, who was white, and that she and I were married and brought children into the world.
Are you tracking that? Are you tracking that, people? He's speaking on, mind you, him and Martin were good friends. They were good friends. It's documented. Harry Belafonte is over here speaking about how Martin literally loved the fact that he was able to freely be himself and be in love with a clear woman that he wanted. It's a lot of speculation from people back in that time that Martin was the type of guy, he's over there hollering integration because that was his dream, not the Black people's dream. But we all know Black people can be sold into any idea, and that's literally what they said happened. I wasn't there, I don't know. But they said prior to Martin Luther King's whole integration thing, Negroes were not over there trying to go be friends and integrate with the clear people. Matter of fact, the economy for Black people was through the roof. This is why I believe it was all done on purpose, okay? All done on purpose. He had to combat Malcolm X's voice, okay? Now let's get back into what he's saying.
And at no point was her presence in my life ever obscured. And Dr. King watched the environment around me accept that and treated us with a lot of kindness and respect. In Martin's earlier life, in his youth as a student, his first real love was a white woman. He adored this young lady and was deeply pained when the wrath of Daddy King and everybody else came down on him when he suggested that he wanted a relationship with this young lady. It betrayed everything that Daddy King had in mind.
Okay, really quickly. So he said the first woman he was in love with was a clear woman. He also spoke to how Dr. King's father, Daddy King, he was opposed to Martin being with a clear woman. I was speaking about this last week. Just like John F. Kennedy, he was in love with a whore from Spain, a slut from overseas. That's who John F. Kennedy was in love with. John F. Kennedy's father literally went to him and said, you cannot marry this woman. You cannot be with this woman because you are going to be in politics. We have to set you up with a good, clean imaged woman, okay? And that's how you get Miss Jackie Kennedy. People wondered how she was so strong knowing that her husband was cheating. It was the same with Coretta. She was so strong knowing that you think Coretta didn't know her husband was cheating? Hell, in the movie, they even told you and showed you that they sent tapes to her home to prove that he was cheating. But remember, when it's an arranged marriage, it's different. There's a love there, but it's not like a love you falling in love with anybody, you know, somebody you met and, oh my God, I'm smitten over this person. It's different, okay? Let's get back into it.
For his son.
It's rare, Doctor, that we get a chance to see you in New York. You've discovered it's a fun city?
Well, I haven't quite discovered that side of New York.
Right.
Being a Baptist clergyman, they keep me involved in other areas.
Right. Your home is actually in Atlanta. Atlanta, Georgia. Do you have a church at this time in Atlanta?
Yes, I am the co-pastor of the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, and my father is pastor, so we are working together there as a team.
Both you and your father?
That's right. They put up.
Is there any
two
seniority?
Well, he makes it clear, sometimes consciously and sometimes unconsciously, that he is the pastor.
Right.
And I'm the co-pastor.
Jesus was the leader in the way, for he said, I am the way.
Now, this is Martin's father. Yes, Sarah, he loved clear people. This here is Martin's father right here. He is the pastor. Martin modeled after his father, but ultimately, I believe, this is my belief, I don't have any proof, but given the facts that we're looking at, it seems to me that Martin's father, Mike, which his name was Michael, but Martin's father was the person who groomed him into the Martin Luther King that we all known to grow and love, okay? It was literally like they created this image for Martin Luther King. That's why he had to marry Coretta. I said this last week. What did Cat Williams say? Whenever you take their deal, you got to get a weird light-skinned woman who don't do no interviews. I'm just saying. And I'm not talking about Coretta, but I'm just saying.
The truth and the light. Now that gets all of it.
When I met Daddy King in Atlanta, I understood the real meaning of patriarch. He was a huge force in the community as a black minister.
Glory to God.
Very imposing.
Something wrong with your head.
And when you met him, you understood that you were dealing with the power. What was also fascinating for me was the subservience that Martin reflected when talking with his father. Not just parental, but as someone whose view of where we should be going as a people held great substance for Martin.
Martin really understood his father, but he understood also the difference between he and his father.
So in a sense, we look into a future shrouded with impenetrable uncertainties.
There was a great difference between he and his father's preaching. Martin made his points at a different level and in a different way than most other preachers did. And the reason for that is because he had this unusual education.
Dr. King finished high school at 15.
Oh, I forgot to mention, you guys, I did mention that Martin was a part of the Divine Nine organization, actually the very first one, the Phi Alpha chapter. Just leaving that there.
He finished Morehouse at 19. He finished seminary at 22, his PhD at 26. He knew the strong minds break strong chains.
Also, I believe this motherfucker here, Jesse Jackson, he's one of the people on this porch over here. Let's go get him. He's one of the people on this porch over here. I'm of the belief that these people set that man up to get popped. Remember, Al Sharpton came out and said, I'm an FBI informant. There's no reason for me to believe that these men didn't get this. That man, that when they went to go get that man was in the bed. They bucked him up to put his clothes on and come on out. And look what happened. Okay? Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, I don't trust none of these niggas, okay? None. It's ridiculous. But like I said, the reason, and another big reason why I do this Educational Friday, because I want my people to understand it ain't them at this point. At some point, it ceased to be them. Yes, it's them pulling the curtains or pulling the strings behind the curtain. But ultimately, we are the ones volunteering and walking up saying, yeah, I'll do it, just to tear down the next one to feed our own personal gain. Let's move on to his dad. So we also saw that Stokely Carmichael joined the movement, but he's joining the whole say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud movement. He wants black power. Remember that phrase, black power? Hey, everybody just coming in. Remember the phrase black power? Black power was basically like a call to, hey, I'm not doing this whole nonviolent movement stuff. Mind you, Stokely Carmichael is a Jamaican from New York. He found his way all the way to the South to come down and say black power to cause a divide in the movement. I am of the belief Stokely Carmichael is another one who is a part of the setup. He was purposely sent here to do exactly what he did. And when Martin's father finds out that Stokely Carmichael is in with Martin Luther King and his nonviolent thing, the dad didn't like it. And Martin didn't separate himself, I am of the belief, because he couldn't. Because the powers that be said, no, you got to walk with him. Okay. Oh Lord.
To do what he was doing. The fact that he was touched by that calling in history disturbed him because he didn't quite understand it.
My bad, y'all. I didn't realize I didn't share the right screen, but I'm gonna back it up just a tad bit so we can get to where we were.
That white America allowed us to have was our churches.
Martin's moments when the curtain was drawn and he was not on public display was a man who revealed his deepest concerns about his right to do what he was doing. The fact that he was touched by that calling in history disturbed him because he didn't quite understand it. He referred everything to divine intervention, to divine power. It's what God has called on me to do. And in the depth of that belief, that religious commitment, those voices that he heard really existed for him. Daddy King, I don't think, was fully approving of where the movement was going. He saw nothing but chaos. He saw nothing but rage. He saw these young people with the birth of SNCC and the kinds of passion that poured forth from these young people, many of whom were not much younger than his son.
All right, really quickly. So Stokely Carmichael's come all the way from New York as a Jamaican. He's not even a Negro, but he comes down from New York. He comes in originally under the nonviolent movement, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's SNCC. What does SNCC stand for? Student Nonviolent. Let me go get it. I don't want to lie to y'all. Let me go get the SNCC. What it mean? It is. Let me see. Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. That's what it means. Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Now, SNCC's name is Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, yet they running around here. This is the first time we are hearing that we are Black. Before this, before Stokely Carmichael and SNCC, we were Negro. We were not Black. The first time we were told that we were Black was through Stokely Carmichael, a Jamaican immigrant from New York. I ask you guys this. Why and why would anybody give somebody like Stokely Carmichael? He's not even from the South. But Stokely Carmichael just get to come in and give us a new name. He came in with the phrase Black Power. Y'all remember that? Black Power. And then who was the person that came in behind it to solidify it and stamp it? It was James Brown. These people are all puppets. Before him in this Black Power movement, we were Negro. And he used the children to usher in the Black Power movement. Okay? That's where it came from. Oh, Champagne Secrets, I always wonder where that came from. Yes, it was Stokely Carmichael and the SNCC movement, Student Nonviolent Committee or Coordinating Committee. Okay? So, and then when James Brown comes in with the song, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. That's why this birthed the Black Panthers. This birthed, you see what I'm saying? But it wasn't until Stokely Carmichael came over here saying it. I always ask, how would this Jamaican immigrant from New York be able to come down here and give us a new name? In my opinion, I believe because he was paid to do just that. Now, Martin Luther King's daddy don't like this. He feels like we got one agenda. Our agenda is to be submissive, bow down to the clear man. What is going on? Why is you affiliating yourself with this weirdo Stokely Carmichael? But King could not do nothing about it because King was told what to do, as Stokely Carmichael allegedly, I guess. Okay, let's get back into it.
And the fact that his son was the spearhead of it was even more threatening for him.
Dr. King asked me.
Oh, really quickly. Now we're moving into the anti-war movement. This is around the time of the Vietnam War. This is around the time Muhammad Ali protested the Vietnam War. He literally lost his title, so his boxing and all of that, because he said he will not be sent to a place as he called Viet Cong. This is a time where they were drafting people. If you had a son, a husband, anybody at age of fighting, they were literally taken from the homes and straight out of high school, a lot of these kids, and sent over to a war. In my opinion, from the studies that I've seen, in my opinion, was a damn suicide mission. A lot of American people lost their lives down in Vietnam. A lot of people lost their lives in Vietnam, and it was a war that they were never going to win. I've even seen documentaries where people talked about how they sent literal groups of people in on dummy missions, meaning, hey, I need your company to go up on this hilltop. And then you know, somebody following orders. All right, even though they know that up on that hilltop, there's a whole bunch of ops waiting so that they could pow these people and they're not going to make it out alive. But they use these people as pawns, right? So that while the people powering up on a hilltop, they can send another company around the backside. Does that make sense? That's literally what's going on. And that's another reason why a lot of Americans protested this war. That's a lot of reason why Americans protested this war. It was an unwinnable war, number one. Number two, it ain't had nothing to do with us. Number three, you literally are drafting people, telling them that they have to basically go and possibly never come back. That's where we're at with it. So now we're on the anti-war movement. Martin Luther King is laser focused on getting black people and poor people of all races, white, black, Asian. If they are poor and under poor economics, he's doing what what's the boy name? Damn it, Black Panther, young boy, got unalive at 21, I believe it was, 22, 23. What's the boy name? Y'all help me out in the comments. He's doing what he attempted to do, galvanize people of all races and say, hey, clear people, y'all don't like us, y'all hate us, that's fine. I'll take it. Hey, Asian people, y'all don't like us, y'all hate us, that's fine. I'll take it. Fred Hampton, I do this every week. Fred Hampton, thank you guys. Fred Hampton. But we don't have to like each other, but we can definitely work together in order to basically fight the government. This is what Martin Luther King was doing. And there was some clear people tapping him on the shoulder. Hey, Mike, what about the war? What about the war? What about the war? So they're diverting his attention. Again, everybody, in my opinion, everybody around him was a spy. Everybody around him was an op. Now they're diverting his attention from the economic thing that he's fighting against to deal with the war. And this is where him and his good friend, President Johnson, are going to bump heads. Because it's like, I ain't tell you to go down there and do all of that. I told you to go calm the niggas down. What is this you talking about economic rights and anti-war? That's where we are right now. So now Martin Luther King is worried about the war stuff. Let's get back into it.
And Stokely to come over and have dinner at his house, that he just wanted to talk. And so we went over to his house. He wanted to understand where Black Power came from. He wanted to know everything we were thinking, where we were going with it. The discussion was about 3 hours long. And then what we wanted to know was, as a moral icon of the movement, when was he going to make a statement against the war in Vietnam?
The leaders of the peace movement were reaching out to Dr. King and wanted him to get more actively and publicly involved. But I resisted because my initial reaction was I felt that they were trying to appropriate the legitimacy they didn't have.
Hey, LBJ, hey, LBJ.
Politically, we had to be very cautious about whether or not we wanted to publicly criticize what could be described as having been the greatest president for civil rights since Abraham Lincoln. This is after the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And here we're going to publicly excoriate and criticize the man without whose leadership none of this would have been possible.
The anti-war movement was a new constituency for us. There was a spiritual connectivity.
Let's be clear. Most of the people that were protesting this war were the clear hippies. It was a lot of clear people. I'm not saying black people wasn't protesting, but the leaders of this particular protest were the clear people. It was them. They were the ones resisting and didn't like this war.
That we were comfortable with. And we understood their positions. They wanted to emulate our tactics, but there were radical elements of violence and anti-American discussion, and we didn't want him taking his moral position into an extreme left environment with kids who were kind of anti-American, who were communists, who were burning American flags.
You heard what he said? He said they wanted to emulate our tactics. Remember I told you Martin Luther King said they integrate and then infiltrate. They wanted to emulate. That's literally copy. They wanted to become what they saw. But the problem was they were too violent. And this man right here is saying allegedly that he was telling Martin, don't fuck with that. Stay on toll and on tax with what we doing. He didn't think that it was a good idea. And ultimately it wasn't, because it was one of the catalysts to lead him up to not being here today.
And we could not control that.
Johnson was worried because communists were on the other side on the war. And over the years, the FBI was constantly investigating King and citing one or two of his associates who they said were communists. He was afraid that the FBI would leak it, that Hoover would really get King branded as a communist, and it would build up an enormous backlash.
For a long period of time, every conversation was wiretapped secretly by the FBI, and the contents of the conversations written down, transcribed verbatim, and put in files marked top secret. And a top agent of the FBI said that Martin Luther King Jr. is the most dangerous and most powerful Negro in America.
You
heard that? Martin Luther King Jr. is the most dangerous and powerful Negro in America. This is one of the reasons, or the main reason, why J. Edgar Hoover said he got to go.
1964, they were bugging Dr. King, and they also picked up his sexual activity. Hoover would send these memos out. The memos would be all about King's life. I mean, they were obviously designed to destroy this guy.
I think J. Edgar Hoover hated, despised Dr. King.
Hoover just was one of these people with an immense amount of power who abused that power. He used information improperly. He was singularly arrogant about his position. And underlying it had this feeling of superiority to people of color.
You know what I never understood either? So J. Edgar Hoover was playing like he was friends with Martin Luther King, but he was really, really close with J. Edgar Hoover. Like, they were like besties. Like, why would Martin Luther King think that? Because he knew at some point he was being followed and tapped by the FBI. So I'm confused as to why Martin would think that his relationship with the president would be more potent than the one with J. Edgar Hoover. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
And I said they should take that son of a bitch's name off the building, because he was the antithesis of what you want in a democracy.
No, during those days, we assumed that we all were being.
Look, this is the plan. This is the plan. Expose King as an immortal opportunist who is not a sincere person, but is exploiting the racial situation for personal gain. This is very important. We will, at the proper time when it can be done without embarrassment to the Bureau, expose King as an immoral opportunist who is not a sincere person, but is exploiting the racial situation for personal gain. This is big. What they're trying to say is, you know what? We ain't going to have this fall back on the FBI, but somehow, some way, we're going to put the T out there that your King ain't who you think he is. They're saying immoral opportunists. That literally means that this man is literally dirty as the ground, but he's only here to get whatever he can get from you for his own personal gain. And the thing is people, black people in particular, were so in love with this man at this time. I believe that even if they had exposed him at the time, I think it would have fell on deaf ears. Because everybody already knew that the FBI had this, and J. Edgar Hoover had this disdain for Martin. They would have just chucked it up like, oh, he just, like they say today, he just hating, you know? But this is very important that they saying this, because there's truth in this as well. Martin Luther King was not as, hell, you just heard Harry Belafonte talk about how his first love was a white woman.
Tap a spinal.
Really quickly, but this is how they use you. This is how the industry, this is how the people, the powers that be use you. As long as you're to their benefit, they will clean you up, shine you up like a whistle, and make it seem like you're the best thing since sliced bread. But the moment you stray away from the plan, they will literally take your dirt and throw it back on you. Puff Daddy. That's why we're here with Puff Daddy. You think them people didn't know Diddy been doing all this shit for all these years? They knew. As long as it served them, they wasn't gonna say nothing. But the moment it stopped to serve them, there you go. They were trying to Diddy Martin Luther King. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to Diddy. You know how we out here exposing all of the paperwork, people coming out of it? They were trying to Diddy Martin Luther King. That's what they were trying to do.
But I think the people who made the recordings were really sick. Everything the FBI was doing to hurt us.
You see that? Unfit to serve as a minister to the gospel. What kind of tea you think they had on Martin for them to tell Martin? You see what I'm saying? For them to say he's unfit to serve as a minister. You know they must have had some shit on Martin for them to get on here and say that.
Made us question whether this country was so sick that it couldn't be saved. We were never running a program of personal piety. We were running a program of social and political and economic justice. And it's while we are yet sinners that Christ died for us. And it's one of the things that makes it possible for us to understand the difficulties and weaknesses in other people, is that we're aware of them in ourselves.
I think it's very important for us to see that you can go on doing the good works and have slipped and fallen, or gotten drunk or womanized or whatever. But since we have no idea how his struggle felt, we don't have any room to criticize it.
I keep telling y'all, I don't trust clear people in the movement.
Martin Luther King Jr. was a human being, and he was imperfect. He was conflicted by traveling so much and may not have felt that he was being the best father or husband that he could be. But his love for his family was unchallengeable.
When I met Martin, I had, unfortunately, a stereotype impression of a minister. Piety is good, but I think there's a kind of a false piety, you know, which I don't like. And he was just a human being, very, very warm and very down to earth and just different.
Coretta speaking on the first time she met Martin. From the way that sounds, it was just like, first of all, he ain't what I thought was a minister would be, but he was cool. That's what it sounds to me.
Believed in his cause so much that she was willing to pay the price. And she tried hard to have him spend as much time with the children as could, because he wasn't home that much.
Pass your plate this way.
When he was home, she insisted that he have dinner with the children.
Daddy, you're not talking.
I'm too hungry, Marlon. I'm so hungry, I'm busy with this dinner. I guess this was one of the most frustrating aspects of my life. The great demands that come as a result of my involvement in the struggle for justice and peace. It's just impossible to carry out the responsibilities of a father and husband when you have these kinds of demands. But fortunately, I have a most understanding wife.
This leads me to ask you, did you educate Mrs. King to become equal to you in terms of sharing this burden, or did you research her before your marriage to see that she had the potential for this?
I wish I could say, and to satisfy my masculine ego, that I led her down this path, but I must say we went down together because she was as actively involved and concerned when we met as she is now.
Yo, that shit was an arranged marriage, yo. It was literally an arranged marriage. Now Martin Luther King goes on to make his speech about Vietnam. This is the beginning. They already watching him. But this right here is the beginning of the end. Esther said, who's recording them at dinner? I'm pretty sure they had the media. Remember, he's a public figure. He's like, who would I say he would be like in today's time? Who would y'all say Martin Luther King was like in today's time, y'all? Oh, true. He wasn't happy. Listen, you got to understand too. Back in them days and the days before that, a lot of men married women simply because they were pregnant. Simply because it was the right thing to do. So he probably wasn't happy, which is probably why he liked being on the road. He gets to do what it is he really wanted to do. Martin Luther King loved clear women. But when you have an arranged marriage, you have something that, you know, you just there because it's better for the whole thing, right? It's better for the kids. We're going to just stay here. It's better for the kids, but I want to leave you like the wives. I want to leave you. I don't really love you no more, but these kids, you know, or I don't really want to be with this woman, but she's pregnant. Morally, I have to be with her. I have to marry her like that. The reason I'm going to pick T.D. Jakes, not T.D. Jakes, God. I would say a Will Smith in a way. And the only reason I would say yes, Will Smith in a way, because listen, Will Smith has this very, yes, it's an obligation, Tina. Yes, thank you. Will Smith has this very squeaky clean image, right? Definitely not Umar. Definitely not TD. Take that. But Will Smith is a celebrity in the world's eyes today that can't do no wrong. I know this firsthand. Because when Diddy was first exposed, Brother Bilal came out and exposed Will. I did a video on Diddy. When I did that video on Diddy, everybody was all in agreement. When I did the same type of video on Will, they were dragging me for filth. Do you hear me? Because not Will. How dare you say this is Will? I'm just saying. People, oh yes, Barack. That'll be it. Barack. That's perfect. Thank you, Brittany. That is a better example, Barack. Till this day, I have conversations with people about what Barack didn't do for Black people. And also, not only what he didn't do, also, I talk about how Barack literally ushered in all of the bullshit happening today. And Black people will windmill till their arms fall out of socket for Barack Obama. He was the Barack Obama back when Barack Obama was president. It was almost like Barack Obama in his heyday when he was, you know, that nigga. That's who Martin Luther King was back then. They would not hear of it. Do you hear me? They would not hear of it at all. So trying to expose him is trying to expose Barack. When and I hate to use him as an example because people get all sensitive around this time for presidents and all of that. But when Barack was running for president and President Trump said, well, he wasn't president at the time. Trump said we need to see his birth certificate. The media pointed it out to make Trump seem racist, and Black people literally wanted him unalive for saying, oh, we need to see his birth certificate. Well, the facts of the matter is we do need to see his birth certificate because we're not even sure till this day that Barack Obama was born in Hawaii. All we know is what they said. We still don't know. We still don't know. But if we bring that up right now, Black people will literally go in front and protest with pitchforks. How dare you? You racist. You anti-Black. They would tell me I'm anti-Black if I said, well, we really didn't see the birth certificate. Oh, you anti-Black. Well, I'll be damned. I'll be damned. Barack was, Martin Luther King, he was Barack. And when people come out with those so-called rumors saying Barack is loose-wristed and that Michelle is really Michael, the girls lose their minds. Do you hear me? Why people get so connected to a person they never met, I will never understand. But even when you say that to this day that Barack was loose-wristed and Michelle is Michael, they lose their minds. So the FBI trying to expose King around this time probably wouldn't have worked because it's just the same as if they tried to expose Barack to this day. Don't even get me started on his prime. If they tried to expose Barack during his prime, I'm talking about between the first, or not even between that first election, bitch, please, it would never work. Okay? I'm just saying. And yes, Barack's father is Kenyan. His mother is directly related to every other president who's all related to each other. See, a lot of people looking at it like, oh, he Black. There's no way. Oh, yes, there is. His mother's lineage goes back to George Washington as well, as so all the other presidents. Okay? These are things we have to keep in mind when we're talking about this, baby. This is the ugly truth. This is the stuff that's going to make us uncomfortable. But this is the stuff that we have to talk about. Sheila says, I forgot the lady name that worked in Hawaii, but she found paperwork showing Barack was born in Hawaii. She died after that. My thing is, if he's proving, because remember, Hawaii is an American territory, or a state, I'm sorry. If he's proving that he is, in fact, Hawaiian and somebody had proof of that, I don't see why they would get rid of her, you know? I don't see why they would get rid of her because that would really work in his favor. It would actually work for him, not against him. But I don't know, child. I don't remember that. Let me tell you how they do us too. I want to see this. Remember that girl that exposed all that presidents were related for a school project she did? Yes. Every single one of them are related. Every single one of them. Barack's mother has direct ties and correlation back to, let me see if I can find this. I want to show y'all something. I really want to show y'all something. Let me see if I can find this. Hold on. Let me see if I can find this. This is very important. The only one that is not related is Trump. He the only one not related. I want to show y'all something. I hope this is it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think this is it. Let me just find a timestamp.
For those of you who are Black.
Pause. What year is this? 1968. Peep this, y'all. This is very, very, very interesting. I saw this one day and I literally fell out of my chair. Let me set this up for you guys. This here is Robert Kennedy. This is after his brother John F. Kennedy was assassinated. This is the night James Brown performed "Say It Loud." I'm Black and I'm proud. This is him on his race for he's running for president, I want to say here, or is it Senate? I think he's running for president, or he's announcing his presidency. This is the night Martin Luther King was unalived. Hear me out. This is the night Martin Luther King was unalived. In this speech, Robert Kennedy on his campaign trail is going to talk to the people and break the uncomfortable news. Hey, you guys, Martin Luther King, unfortunately, has been unalived. And then to soothe the crowd, he's going to say, hey, don't worry, Black people. You're going to be better. You're going to do better. Hell, and he's going to damn near name the amount of time up to the year. I'm pretty sure you'll have a Black president. I may not have explained that right. Let him say it. Hold on. Y'all can't hear that? Y'all still can't hear that? It's playing. Let me watch it on YouTube. Hold on. I can't believe y'all can't hear that. Can y'all hear this? I put it up on YouTube. Put a 1 in the chat when you begin to hear it. You can't hear? Nope. Oh, now? Can you hear it now? Somebody said now. No. It's playing through YouTube. We can hear you. No. All right. Let me stop sharing and reshare it. Hold on. I'm going to stop sharing and reshare it. One more time. Hold on. Let me share it again. I'm going to start it from the beginning. Let me know if you can hear it. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear it. I haven't played it yet. But when I start it again, put a 1 in the chat if you can hear it. Put a 2 in the chat if you can't.
For those of you who are Black and are tempted to be filled with hatred and mistrust of the injustice of such an act.
Y'all can hear it? Okay, y'all can hear it. All right. Sorry about that, y'all. It was playing for me. It's just you guys couldn't hear it on your end. Bertha said you still can't hear it. They hear it now. Okay. All right, sorry about that. It was playing on my end. It wasn't playing on yours. Bertha said she still can't hear it. Bertha, I don't know why. Felicia, you can't hear it? They might be behind on the video.
Against all white people, I would only say that I can also feel in my own heart.
Refresh. It's low, but refresh. I paused it. Yeah, I paused it. Refresh. You guys who can't hear it, refresh it. Really, we can hear it, but it's low. Yeah, that's the loudest I can get it. That's the loudest I can get it. I can't put my volume up no louder, but that's as loud as it goes. You can hear. All right, let's run it back one more time. If you can't hear it, try refreshing the browser and then come back.
For those of you who are Black and are tempted to be filled with hatred and distrust of the injustice of such an act against all white people, I would only say that I can also feel in my own heart the same kind of feeling. I had a member of my family killed, but he was killed by a white man. But we have to make an effort in the United States. We have to make an effort to understand, to get beyond or go beyond these rather difficult times. My favorite poem, my favorite poet was Aeschylus. He once wrote, "Even in our sleep, pain which cannot forget falls drop by drop upon the heart, until in our own despair, against our will, comes wisdom through the awful grace of God." What we need in the United States is not division. What we need in the United States is not hatred. What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness.
Really quickly, y'all ever notice whenever we suffer injustice, they want to tell us not to be violent, but whenever they get mad about any old thing, they put the hoods on and get on the horses and get the boom, and they gonna run the, you know what I mean? Like they can display levels of hatred and go unalive people, hang people. But then when we do it, you know what I'm saying? Like it's cool when they do it. It's a problem. They try to stop us before we even start. He just announced that Martin Luther King was unalive, and he's literally at a concert trying to tell these people, "Hey, y'all, I understand my family was unalive by a clear man too. So we don't need to." You see what I'm saying?
But his love and wisdom and compassion toward one another, feeling of justice toward those who still suffer within our country, whether they be white or whether they be Black. Return home, say a prayer for the family, Martin Luther King. Yeah, it's true. But more importantly, to say a prayer for our own country, which all of us love.
Oh, Trucker Bay says, who's clapping? He's at James Brown just finished. He's at a concert. He's on a campaign trail. What he's doing is right in the middle of this campaign trail for him, after his brother was unalive, he's in front of a whole bunch of Black people. He's at a Black concert. They threw a whole thing. He's supposed to be campaigning, but Martin Luther King was just unalive. He's talking to the girl, to the people, telling the people, "Hey, I know you mad, but please don't resort to violence. It's not that deep." And the people, just like that, he was able to turn their attention onto not being violent, and that's them clapping. Yes, darling Nikki, that is Black people clapping. He's up there talking Black people off the ledge. Black people, please don't go acting crazy. Please don't get up here and try to this, that, and the third. Just, pray. And pray for the country and that's Black people clapping it up. Yes, that is. We've been the same all the time. We've been the same all this time. We've never changed.
understanding and that compassion of which I spoke.
Let me see, is
his life, justice between fellow human beings, the cause of that effort.
because I don't want to.
Today, in this difficult time for the United States, it's perhaps well to ask what kind of a nation we are and what direction we want to move in. For those of you who are Black,
Pay attention.
the evidence evidently is that there were white people who were responsible. You can be filled with bitterness and with hatred and a desire for revenge. We can move in that direction as a country, in greater polarization, Black people amongst Blacks and white amongst whites, filled with hatred toward one another. Or we can make an effort, as Martin Luther King did, to understand and to comprehend and replace that violence, that stain of bloodshed that has spread across our land with an effort to understand, compassion, and love. We can do well in this country. We will have difficult times. We've had difficult times in the past, but we will have difficult times in the future. It is not the end of violence. It is not the end of lawlessness, and it's not the end of disorder. But the vast majority of white people and the vast majority of Black people in this country want to live together, want to improve the quality of our life, and want justice for all human beings that abide in our land.
He looked nervous as hell. Do you hear me? Look at his face. That clear man is turning every color which way. He looked nervous. He don't know what's gonna happen. Now he hear the people clapping, but he looked nervous as hell. Because he knew that shit could go left at any given time. I'm trying to get to the part where he started talking about how a Black man could be president. Hold on.
Years ago, to tame the savageness of man and make gentle the life of this world. Let us dedicate ourselves to that and say a prayer for our country and for our people. Thank you very much.
That's not it. Hold on. I'm going to find this shit. Hold on. I'm going to let y'all finish watching the other one till I find it. I'm going to find this. I'm about to show y'all something. And let me just say this. Let's be clear as well. Let's be clear. We are the same thing we are today, what we were back then. Okay? Ain't no difference. Just the same way they can Jedi mind trick us today like they do. Literally, we can't talk about nothing as a culture. If it affects somebody's faith, it's over. It's the same thing. Hey, Seven. It's the same thing. Them people studied us. They know us better than we know us, and they were able to manipulate us the same because we don't understand us. They do. They are the people studying us. Okay? Let me go find this clip. I'm going to let y'all finish right here. This right here is Martin Luther King's speech to Vietnam, talking about Vietnam. I'm going to find this clip. Hold on. Go watch this, y'all.
Struggle if we win all of the rights and privileges that we are fighting for and have no world in which to exercise these, then there is really no need for our efforts.
I decided that I would leave it to my wife to take the stands and make the meetings on the peace issue. But I came to the conclusion that I could no longer be a silent onlooker, but that in some real way I had to be an involved and concerned participant.
Andy Young called me. I was the executive director of the group that wanted to stop the war and engage the religious community to help do that. So Andy proposed that Dr. King give a speech in New York, and Dr. King decided to make a full-blown statement. So I said, well, what about Riverside Church?
What comment, Jennifer? Hold on. What's your comment? Hold on. Let me go look and see. What comment? Let me go back and look at it. Did you see my comment? Can you comment it again, Jennifer? If you said something, I must have missed it. Can you comment it again? I'm scrolling up. I don't see anything. Yeah, put it in there again, Jennifer, so I can see it. Put it in there again so I can see it.
Because I think place makes a big difference.
When he came to the Vietnamese speech, he struggled with it. And I remember very much because he wrote a big part of it in our home. I have on my wall in the hallway a copy of his writings and the notes that he made. He had a habit of using a yellow pad, constantly making notes, and he'd crumble up these things at the end of an evening and toss it away. And I'd just do a swan dive right into the garbage pail and retrieve those papers, because he always left some really profound sentence or something that I thought was worth retrieving and saving.
Dr. King knew where his heart was.
Jennifer, if you can't hear, you probably behind on the video. Because this part y'all should hear. Y'all can hear this, right? She might be behind. I can hear loud and clear. Yeah, she might be behind. She might need to refresh the video to come up a little further. Yeah, Becoming Queen Lexus too. Y'all might be a little far behind. Sorry, y'all. I think a couple of y'all behind. I get it. It be like that. Sorry, Great Awakening Channel. I think you behind too. Sandy. I don't know. If you're behind, I'm sorry. Just make sure y'all refresh y'all browser. When you get to this part, make sure you refresh your browser. See, she's still saying, no, you can't. No, I can't. She's behind. Gotcha.
But he also knew the criticism and the splits that would happen the moment he said anything against the war in Vietnam. And of course, he did.
The night of April 4th, 1967, I believe that Martin Luther King Jr. delivered probably one of the most powerful speeches I ever heard him deliver.
Ladies and gentlemen.
He said in effect that he was not going to butcher his conscience.
I knew that I could never again raise my voice against the violence of the oppressed in the ghettos without having first spoken clearly to the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today, my own government.
So as a nation, we talk about nonviolence here in America, and then we engage in violence abroad. He said in effect that the bombs that were dropping in Vietnam, they would be shattered over America.
Dr. King was worried that the government had gotten us into war where we didn't need to be, and that we were hurting ourselves, the returning veterans, the inflation, the unemployment, the consequences of the war.
He literally poured out his heart, the depth and essence of his soul.
Really quickly, in my opinion, this is the worst thing he could have done. This is the worst thing Martin Luther King could have done. Because now this got the attention of people that he didn't need to get the attention of. They had people calling doggone what's the man name? Freaking Johnson. Like, oh, that's your boy? Well, he down there dragging you. He over here saying that you wrong. You got the people down in Vietnam. You know? So him making this speech about his not being in agreement with the war was probably the worst thing he could have done. I promise you.
For many sermons, I was at the March on Washington, but I think the speech at Riverside Church was his best.
If America's soul becomes totally poisoned, part of the autopsy must read Vietnam.
When the speech ended, the place exploded, and I knew it was electric. I knew he had hit it out of the park. But the next morning, he was blasted in virtually every editorial column in America.
Some of us didn't want him to be that hard in the speech, but he said, I'm trapped by my own, beliefs. And I think that that was one of the things that J. Edgar Hoover used to try to turn the government completely against him.
Dr. King took on our government in wartime. He was taking on angry people and misguided people in wartime.
Really quickly, a lot of us in the chat know people who served in the Vietnam War. My dad's father did. My grandfather did. My dad came in after all of that. But my dad's father did. A lot of our grandparents served in the war, and they were either hooked on drugs and or suffered serious mental health issues, serious mental disabilities. You know what I mean? And it was one of those things where if you physically survived that war, the things they saw out there, the things they did out there, alcoholic, that's another one, 7, you're right. The things that they went through out in Vietnam. Listen, these soldiers, I don't know if y'all have ever spoken to somebody who was a veteran from the Vietnam War. A lot of them will tell you that it took for them to get out there to realize it's a high possibility I'm going to die here. A high possibility, yes, and suffer from Agent Orange. Let's just say somebody take you on a trip or you go somewhere right now and you're expecting to come back home, but as soon as you get there with no way back, you realize, holy shit, this might be the end. That will mess you up within itself. That's why they was all on drugs. The heroin thing was ridiculous. Y'all ever seen the movie? What's the name of this movie? Shoot. With Lorenz Tate and they go to robbing them banks. All of them came from out of Vietnam. One of them was hooked on drugs. The one who played what's his name? Smokey character. He was hooked on drugs. Lorenz Tate. He was broke, couldn't get no money. Dead presidents. Thank you. Dead presidents, y'all. Y'all know I be drawing blanks. All of them come from the Vietnam War, except the old guy. But they were all freaked up. Our government literally sent them over there knowing that they probably ain't coming back. It was literally a suicide mission. That's what it was. Cuddy, yeah, it was a suicide mission. That's what it was. And that's why people were so against it at that time. No other war in history were people so against like this one. This is the one, because there's always people protesting war. But this one birthed the hippies. This one birthed the hippies. Oh, wow, Cam official. She said, my dad served in the Vietnam and his job was picking up human remains. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Y'all, the stuff these men seen. Oh, Tamara Talks, thank you for your service. I believe it. I deployed to Iraq and we know what's going on. But if it's your first tour, it didn't sit in until we got to the war zone for a lot of us. Recon. Okay. Iraq was second. Listen, y'all. Y'all see what it is. I ain't got to say it. Y'all see exactly what it is. Really quickly, I can't find the video, but I did find an article on Robert Kennedy saying this. Listen, there is a video. One day I'm going to find it. We're going to talk about it. Listen to this. This is Robert Kennedy. During the 60s, he gave a speech saying, hey, guys, this is how I'm trying to tell you all of this stuff is planned. During the 60s, he gave a speech saying, hey, y'all black people, y'all gonna be all right. Hell, in about 40 years, you too will have a black president. And damn near 40 years to the date, we had Barack, who's ironically, coincidentally related through the moon. Okay? It says, during the 1960s, Robert F. It wouldn't surprise me if they scrubbed it too. Scrubbed the internet of the video. It would not surprise me because I know I seen it because I remember saying, wait a minute, what? I'm going to find it though. It says, during the 1960s, Robert F. Kennedy said he believed the black man could become president of the United States within 40 years. Example, he gave a speech to the Voice of America all around the world 40 years ago. And despite what was going on in the country, particularly in Alabama, Bobby Kennedy said this: things are moving so fast in race relations, a Negro could become president in 40 years. This is in 1968. This article says we're now in 2008. Robert F. Kennedy goes on to say, there's no question about it, the Attorney General said, in the next 40 years, a Negro can achieve the same positions that my brother has. Kennedy said that prejudice exists and probably will continue to, but we have to try and make progress, and we are making progress. We are not going to accept the status quo. May 27, 1968. People called me a conspiracy theorist. I'll take that. But what I will say is this. These people know way more than the average person knows. And they are basically operating and capitalizing off of our ignorance and our willful ignorance. See, there's ignorance and there's willful ignorance. Our ignorance is something that we don't know because we can't control it because we don't know. Our willful ignorance, though, is when somebody's trying to tell you and then you just don't want to hear it because you don't want to believe it. There's a difference. And somehow both end up working in the favors of the powers that be. Okay? I just wanted to share that with y'all. I'm going to find that video and we're going to discuss it. Okay? I'm going to find it because I was mind blown when I seen that. I said, how in the hell could he predict that? Oh, now I know more research. I know now because they fucking know. They fucking know. They be knowing who's going to be president in that family history timeline before they shit them babies out. They know. They know. That's another thing, Esther. Y'all ever wonder why? You ever wonder why the Simpsons is so good at predicting this shit? How is the Simpsons predict? Because they already fucking know. They know. We don't know. They making it seem to us like this is happenstance. They already know. They know. Just some food for thought. Now, back to where we were with him. And I don't want to stay too much longer on this. I wish I had them other timestamps. Oh, this is around the time he's starting to realize he getting set up. Martin Luther King, that is. Listen, he made the speech. The president don't like it. Everybody's spilling tea. And now things are going downhill for Marty Mart. Mike is what we call him downhill. There go abundance and clarity. I keep telling y'all this. And y'all don't believe us. They have to tell you before they do anything. They have to. Why do you think they put everything in a movie before it actually happens? They have to tell you before they do anything to you. It is a form of your consent because you saw it. It's written. The so-called forefathers say you can do whatever you want to these folk as long as you tell them first. That's why all your truth comes out in entertainment. Listen to what I'm saying to you. There you go. Because guess what, Mihi? She says, then they say, we warned you. That resolves them or absolves them of responsibility. That literally is what happens. Why do you think when you look at a commercial for some pills that say it's gonna make you happier, they got the lady riding a bike, they got her swimming, she's doing all kind of water activities, and then at the end they say side effects include nausea, heartache, death, unaliving, or seizures. They say that real low because they just have to tell you. It's up to you to take that information and do what you wanted, what you will. But as long as they let you know, it absolves them of all responsibility. Okay? I'm just telling y'all. This is facts. Y'all think I'm bullshitting? Yeah, ain't it be low and fast? Ain't it true? Ain't it? Don't it be low and fast? Listen, when the heifer riding the bike with her hair going through the wind, girl, the music be blasting. She be having fun, dancing, drinking with her husband, having a good time. Release your inhibitions. Feel the music be blasting. And then right after that, right when they about to go off, the commercial about to go off, what they say? Side effects may include nausea, heartburn, indigestion, death, seizures, stroke. You'll be like, wait a minute, what the fuck? But see, by that time, you already so focused on the riding the bike and going on vacation with her husband, you forgot that the bitch might have dry mouth and might be waking up chopped and screwed tomorrow. You see what I'm saying? So Robert F. Kennedy saying what he said, it is another form of consent. That is the way they get your consent, because they say, I already told you. If I tell you not to go around that corner because they be shooting around there, and you go around that corner and you get shot, that ain't on me because I told you. You get it? You get it? Jacques says so true, but what we do? I feel like we are all sitting ducks. That's just the fact of the matter. There's nothing you can do except keep your head on the swivel and make sure that you make better decisions. I'm just saying. But anyway, now Martin Luther King is starting to get and I want to bring up this other one because we're gonna talk about black. Matter of fact, I'm gonna spend 5 more minutes on Martin, and then we could come back to this another time. I want to talk about our origin, or the origin of the term black, and how we became what we are. We need to discuss that. That is very important, because whenever I say so-called black on a regular live, or I always say, hey, or if I ever say, oh, well, I'm just using this term for the conversation, it's because I know that our term black, all these terms are given to us. We've never created our own term. It's always been given to us by the clear man. And there's a reason we keep being mislabeled, given misnomers, because they need us off the trail. They need us not to understand what's in front of us. They need our brain going left, right, up, down. You see what I'm saying? So in order to keep us off the trail, what they do is every 30, 40 years, we something different. Okay? All right, let's get into this with Martin Luther King, and I'm going to pull up the other one so we can get into that. Oh, yes, Sonny, it's always a distraction.
Vietnam drama was perhaps the single most challenging moment for Martin. Martin went through very difficult emotional times in 1967. He had a doctor in New York, and I remember sitting with Dr. Logan, and he generally felt that the state of Martin's emotional health was such that he maybe should seek some kind of third-party independent psychiatric counseling.
Martin going crazy because he know his time is almost up.
Never accomplishes anything, my fellow Americans.
Here go. our Jamaican brother from New York, Stokely Carmichael. Now his job is to get the crowd riled up. This is where you get into the black term. Okay? Let's get into it. Remember, Stokely ain't from the South. Stokely ain't even from America. That is a Jamaican. And here he is, knee-deep in Southern Negro BS and renaming us. How do you think that is? Let's take a look.
Nothing to do with civil rights. We will not tolerate lawlessness.
You're going to sit in front of your television set and listen to LBJ tell you that violence never accomplishes anything, my fellow Americans.
Yeah, I think he is Trinidadian. Y'all know how I am. Everybody Jamaican from the island. My bad. He might be Trinidadian. But you know me, my brain go back to Jamaican. My bad. I think he's Trinidadian.
But you see, the real problem with violence is that we have never been violent. We have been too nonviolent.
I've decided to stick with love. And so I'm not gonna give you a motto, a preacher philosophy, burn, baby, burn. I'm gonna say, build, baby, build, organize, baby, organize.
Now, this is the difference. Stokely has the ear of the younger people. Martin had it all. Martin had the ear of all of the young people. Okay? With Stokely coming in, there's a group of young people who like, yeah, I'll do this, but I really want to fuck some shit up. Stokely comes in and he's able to take these people, this group of people, and galvanize them listen, they supposed to be together. But at this point, Stokely saying one thing, Martin saying another. And we sitting here wondering, well, if y'all on two different playing fields, why are y'all still sticking together? Because the powers that be told them they had to. This, to me, in my opinion, is another form of confusion.
Martin Luther King called me from Atlanta, and he said to me very directly, I need you to come on down here now, because this may be my last campaign, and we're going for broke.
The Southern Christian Leadership Conference will lead waves of the nation's poor and disinherited to Washington, D.C. next spring.
He said, let's go to Washington. We're going to Washington. If necessary, go to jail, civil disobedience, and convince this Congress to shift from war in Vietnam to war in poverty.
It was Marion Edelman who came to Martin with the concept of the Poor People's Campaign.
I got called to Washington to testify about poverty and what was happening in Mississippi.
This is an urgent situation which must be looked into and which must be met.
In the middle of it all, I asked them to come and see for themselves. And Bobby Kennedy came with them.
Oh, look who it is. Barack Uncle. Look, you saw that. Guess who came to see? Barack Uncle, Robert Kennedy, the one who predicted y'all gonna have a black president. Look at him. Look at Robert. Look at Barack Uncle. Y'all got to be strong, girl. Y'all got to be strong. Let me scroll past because I want to get to the part where it gets good. Because I want
to. We know how fond you are of our president.
Weave it into a sermon, and quite often he'd have a similar demon from the Bible who had the same problems. And by the time he got through, he had everybody laughing at what was a life and death situation, mostly his life.
That was a way of externalizing the fact that he had to somehow talk about the elephant in the room that we all had to live with. Martin joked about it because there wasn't any other way to be.
Dr. King, do you fear for your life?
Not really. I face the fact that something can happen to my life. Ultimately, it isn't so important how long you live. The important thing is how well you live.
I love how y'all are connecting these dots, Eduardo. I love how you connecting these dots. Who was Obama's biggest endorser? Wasn't it Teddy Kennedy? That's his cousin. I love how y'all connecting these dots. Listen, now Martin Luther King has come to the grips. My time is almost up. These people are about to get me up out of here. See, somebody else put Becoming Queen Lexus said, so back in the day, they got to unalive, and now they just exposed, cancel, or sued by Cassie. Let me tell you why, girl. Because listen, back in the day, people didn't care about how you feel. But today, everything governs off of feelings. Every single thing. Everything is governed off of feelings. So with that being said, you can cancel somebody, and that is equal to death. In today's society, canceling someone is as equal to death. Why do you think Diddy is panicking and going crazy the way he is? You may as well unalive him now. See, today you don't have to unalive him. That's too easy. That's too easy. We are living in a society based on how you feel, and as long as we love you, love is a very fickle emotion. Love is a very fickle emotion. And how it works is when we love you, it's great. But when that love goes away, it can literally, to the person, mean the difference between the same life and death. Because see, back then when feelings didn't matter, J. Edgar Hoover was trying to expose him. But he came to the realization, these niggas so lost, even if I exposed him, they wouldn't believe it because they love this nigga. You get it? So they felt, let's just get him up out of here. Let's just get him up out of here. That's the best way. Today, you don't have to do that. Soon as some bad press come out, back to back to back, the person's just as good as dead. In 2024, am I lying? In 2024, you tear down somebody's character or their reputation, they just as good as dead. Russell Simmons was a staple in the black community and hip hop for how many years? And as soon as it came out that allegedly he was messing with them churn, you get it? Yes, Tandra. Diddy's contract is expired. Time to pay the price. Listen, y'all gotta understand this shit be same shit, different toilet. It don't be no different. I promise you. It just look different. Let's move to
of poverty.
When Martin Luther King got the call, he said he had to go. He said, you guys stay and continue working on the poor people's.
That's a good cussing out about not being.
For your own safety.
Why didn't you check out the situation in Memphis with your staff before you came in, especially since it's in the midst of a very touchy...
This is where he went, where he passed. There's riots and everything going on in Memphis. He's already on edge because he knows that his time is limited. He knows that at any given time, I could go. He's even made peace with it and told all his people, you know what, it is what it is. I ain't even scared at this point, but I'm going to just go ahead on and do what I got to do and say what I got to say. That's where we at with it. Now, he's in Memphis. Even though he wasn't supposed to go, he went last minute. And they asking him, well, why you not over here dealing with what you need to deal with? They got people rioting, this, that, and the third.
Sanitation strike.
Well, I would be honest enough to say that I was completely caught with a miscalculation.
What steps have you taken to avert new violence in Memphis?
Well, we're going to take those steps, and we're not going to stop here. We are going to have in Memphis a massive non-violent demonstration, and we're going to do it in the next few days. And we're going to take the steps that we've taken in every other situation. We're going to take the steps of uniting this community. Non-violence can be as contagious as violence.
In between the first march and our going back to Memphis, Martin gave us a good cussing out about not being supportive of him.
Pay attention.
And it was.
This is when Martin gonna curse all them niggas out and say, where was y'all antennas when wooty 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 woo? You know what I'm saying? Pay very close attention to what he's saying. He said Martin cussed their ass out and basically said, y'all some bitch ass niggas. That's literally what he said. If I had to put it in 2024 term, Martin said, it's one thing for these clear people to drag me and turn their back on me, but y'all some bitch ass niggas. And he said he didn't cuss them out proverbially. He said he cussed them out like, you motherfucker do. Let's get into it.
Only time I saw him angry at the whole staff. He cussed us out, got up and walked out. And we went behind him trying to reassure him, but he just went on off.
Dr. King said, I feel so alone. He was frustrated. He was full of pain. And I understand that pain now. Still, I pondered, maybe I should quit now. Maybe I've done as much as I could do.
I thought it was wrong to take on another movement in the state we were in. We were tired, and we knew he was tired.
And said, I know you're taking ML to the airport tomorrow.
Hold on.
And not to give the major speech, but he got up and he gave that speech as though he knew that the end was near.
So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing.
Y'all remember this speech? Now let me back it up a little bit. This is the night before, I want to say maybe right before he was assassinated. This is a famous speech that we heard in school, but see, the way I remember it being taught in school, they made it seem like all of this happened, like they made it seem like he did the I Have a Dream speech and then they popped him. Am I the only one who felt like that when we was taught about him in school? They didn't teach us none of this. We didn't learn none of this. The Poor People's Campaign, and if they mentioned it, they just mentioned it. They didn't teach us none of this. They made it seem like, yeah, he integrated people, and said, I have a dream, and then that's it. That's how I learned it. Maybe I wasn't paying attention to something. Oh, y'all feeling me? Okay, y'all saying the same thing. Because to me, I thought it was gone after this. It took for me to go and be like, wait a minute. He did a whole bunch of shit after this. Crazy. But that's why I tell you, they tell you what they want you to know.
See.
We went down the side of the church and called him on the pay telephone. Said, Martin, come just for a few minutes. You don't have to stay long. Say they're so ready for you.
I could only hear one side of the call, but Martin Luther King said, now, are you telling me that you want me to get up out of my bed and take off my pajamas and get dressed and come out in the pouring down rain, okay, to speak at this meeting? So obviously the answer on the other side said yes.
The Moses of 1968, Martin Luther King.
Martin came to that church thinking that he was just going to make remarks and not to give the major speech. But he got up and he gave that speech as though he knew that the end was near.
So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I literally have chill bumps on my arm. It's like, it's one thing to be there, but so when you know the outcome of something and you see this man get up there and say, I don't fear anything, no man, because mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He didn't even finish his sentence. He walked up. You can tell he was at his wit's end, like, fuck this shit. It is what it's gonna be. I'm literally sitting up here with goosebumps on my arm when he said that. And this is why I be so conflicted with King, because I feel like you sold us up the river, and I believe that. And I believe that. But I feel like he at least tried to make it right. But at that point, it was too late. I go back and forth. I'm like a tennis table when it comes to King. I ain't even gonna lie. It's like on one end I'm mad, but then on the other end I'm like, but he tried. But then, you know what I'm saying? I'm just back and forth, back and forth.
The next morning, we were working on the print statement for the Poor People's Campaign. Martin Luther King said to me, now, Bernard.
You don't have to stay long. Say that this for ready for you.
Somebody said play it back.
I could only hear one side of the call, but Martin Luther King said, now, are you telling me that you want me to get up out of my bed and take off my pajamas and get dressed and come out in the pouring down rain, okay, to speak at this meeting? So obviously the answer on the other side said yes.
The Moses of 1968, Martin Luther King.
Martin came to that church thinking that he was just going to make remarks and not to give the major speech. But he got up and he gave that speech as though he knew that the end was near.
So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
The next morning, we were working on the print statement for the Poor People's Campaign. Martin Luther King said to me, now, Bernard, the next project we're going to work on is to institutionalize and internationalize nonviolence.
I was on the witness stand most of that day. We got permission to march, and I came back to the Lorraine Motel. He was childish and giddy and cussed me out. You know, where you been? He threw a pillow at me. I threw it back. But everybody else picked up pillows, and it was like a bunch of.
Oh, darling Nikki, it's about to. They about to talk about it. They about to talk about how they got him to the balcony. He wasn't even trying to leave. Watch.
10-year-olds, and just about that time, Billy Kyle's knocked.
Really quickly. All right, fine. Sergeant King says, why you say he sold us out? Because you may not have been here when we talked about it, but he sold us out because he was a spy for the government. He literally was a paid informant to whenever Black people were ready to revolutionize, organize, and do anything against the government. His job was to go to that place and do that nonviolent bullshit and keep the niggas docile. That's why I say he sold us out. I'm sorry. Because he did. But after he got those integration rights, he realized I fucked up and my people are worse off than we were, and we done just integrated. And I believe he tried to right his wrong. That's what I believe. I could be wrong, but I believe that. All right. Now it's the morning of, you guys. And let's get into it, and then we're gonna move on.
On the door and said, you all will do it in my house by 6 o'clock. My wife's got dinner waiting. And so he jumped up and went upstairs to put on a shirt and tie.
Wait, hold on. Who told him that?
Came back to the Lorraine Motel. He was childish and giddy and cussed me out. You know, where you been? He threw a pillow at me. I threw it back. But everybody else picked up pillows, and it was like a bunch of 10-year-olds. And just about that time, Billy Kyle's knocked on the door and said, you all will do it in my house by 6 o'clock. My wife's got dinner waiting. And so he jumped up and went upstairs to put on a shirt and tie.
I was coming across the courtyard, and from the balcony, Dr. King said, Jesse, you don't even have on a tie. So I said, Dr. King, a prerequisite for eating is an appetite. He said, you're crazy. We laughed.
He was just extremely relaxed and comfortable and playful. It was the happiest I had seen him in a long time.
We've been laughing and playing, and he raised up, the bullet hit him right here. It's 7 this time. I got up and went running toward him, but he was non-responsive. So I got up and went and called Mrs. King. It's a long 10 steps to take from where he was.
He said he went up to Martin after he was popped. He said he was popped in the neck. He said Martin was non-responsive. He went and called his wife. He went in to call his wife. So Sergeant, what happened was he was in his room. They came to his room. Yeah, no name. They all sound suspicious. He was in his room. He was only there for one purpose. I forget what it was. It was for something he was doing for the Poor People's Campaign. That's why he was there. But when he got there, they were pulling him in all different ways. They had the sanitation workers on strike. They wanted him to speak on that. They had a whole bunch of other stuff going on in Kentucky. He did that speech the night before when he said, "Mine eyes have seen the power and the glory of the coming of the Lord." He did that speech the night before. That was an impromptu speech. Somebody called him and said, "Hey, come do this speech." The next day, Jesse, all them boys who was on the balcony with him came and got him. Somebody called him and said, "My wife cooking. You need to get dressed and come on over." Billy, I forget his last name. And then he got up and got dressed, and they all were there going to eat it. They were all going to the same house. So he got up to get dressed. Soon as he wasn't going nowhere. Soon as he got out the door, boom. And right, that's why I say it's a setup, Seven. You're right. That's why I say that. That is literally why I say that. Yes, Steph, I believe they lined him up 1,000%. Because first of all, the shot that was put out there, a regular person, unless they have some type of marksman freaking experience, how the hell can they make that shot and not hit nobody else from way across the street? And also, the shot was a perfect alleged kill. Now, from what I was told and read, that he really was still alive when they got to the hospital. And then they smothered him later. Now, my question would be, Jesse Jackson, little crooked ass, is over here saying, "Oh, well, I knew he was gone, so I went and called his wife and told her to get over here." Nigga, what? You didn't call 911? Thank you, opinionated. You know that was a sniper shot. Yes, Mihi, it was a sniper shot. That wasn't no regular schmegular redneck, person, KKK. You gotta have experience to take that shot and make it. It's just crazy, y'all. It's crazy. But things ain't never what they seem. All right, we're going to end that right there. I want to get into this misnomer and all that stuff that we've been dealing with. Let me stop sharing so I can go get it. You guys, I want to get into this misnomer thing. Because really, after that, they speak about the funeral and all of that stuff. And, whatever. Hold on. Don't switch. All right, let me go back. So a lot of people don't realize that Black people have been misnomered unrealistically. Every so often we get a new name. We went through so many doggone names we've gone through so many names in our history. At this point, I don't understand how nobody is asking the question, why is it that we keep getting new names? No other people on the face of the earth, do you hear me? No other people on the face of the earth is renamed over and over and over and over and over again. Only us. And I find it very hard to believe that nobody is asking about this. Everybody's just like, okay, cool, we this now. Let's just move on. You know what I mean? To me, that is crazy to me. That nobody is asking these questions. Let me go back. I'm trying to find it. Hold on, y'all. I got so much Diddy stuff. There you go. No, not the history of the Negro. Not that one. It might be on that one. Let me check. I think it's on this one. Oh yeah, it is over here. Okay, so I found this documentary. I like using documentaries, you guys, because you get a look into what was going on, what the people were thinking, how they felt in real time. That's the only reason I like documentaries. Now, documentaries aren't always 100% true, but they are probably one of the most valid resources you can use because you're hearing from real, raw people for the most part. Because even some of those documentaries are farce, okay? So now in this documentary called History of the Negro People, we are going to be talking about these people. This is a documentary where it's in 65, where they're talking about who are the Negroes? Where did they come from? You know what I mean? What is going on? We got clear people talking. We got Negroes talking. In this documentary, they're going to speak on the history of the names. They're going to speak on a clear man is going to once again tell us who we are, where we come from. Oh, we came from Africa and these hoods. We're just going to get into a few things. And this is to enlighten us on when I see people in my chat all the time that be like, oh, don't use the word black. And I understand it. But I know that my people in today's society will not want to move away from what's comfortable and what's the norm. So telling a person in society today, hey girl, you probably wasn't no slave from Africa, they literally lose their mind as if they're so attached to that narrative, you can't, you know what I mean? So I try to accommodate my crowd until we at least get somewhat of an understanding for the most part, and then they can understand why I say copper color versus black. Or why I say I don't identify as an African because I'm not no African. Because I'm not. I'm just not. Okay? And 9 times out of 10, you ain't either. But that's a story for another day. We'll get into that on another day. Like I keep telling y'all, don't listen to nothing I say. Please just do me one favor. Anything that I say, you feel like it's some bull, or even if you agree, go do the research yourself. I promise you. Go do the research yourself and you'll start to realize, hey, maybe she is right about this. Maybe she a little bit off on that, but I see where she was going. You see what I'm saying? Opinion says, Voodoo, do you think they change our names to confuse generations because they don't want to pay indigenous people, black people reparations? Yes, but in a way, I believe that they understand this so-called land of milk and honey that we live in called America. They understand that the resources are here. And in order for us to divert our attention from here, because what's owed to us in reparations ain't no cash. What's owed to us in reparations is the resources and the land. So in order to keep our attention that way, say they from Africa. Well, damn, what part? I don't know. Let them figure it out. Let them guess. And then as time goes by, drop the 23andMe and tell them niggas they all come from around Nigeria. Ask a Nigerian, a full-blooded Nigerian, if they think that we related in as far as bloodline. Do me that favor. So I believe they keep changing our names to keep us off the trail and also to keep us confused, which is one of the biggest reasons I have an issue with Dr. Umar, because you understand that we and Africans aren't the same, but you will sit up and holler this Pan-African bullshit and won't even let us even have our own identity. You want to loop us in the Pan-African movement, but you don't loop not the way that he does us. You don't loop the Africans in that. You don't loop the other people in the Pan-African movement the way that you loop us into it. It's almost like you welcome opinionated. It's almost like he kind of, what do you call it? Agent of confusion and chaos too. I like him, but I understand that when we need to be looking straight, when he hollered that Pan-African bullshit, he's another one got our heads going left, right, up, and down. When we need to be going straight, what the fuck is going on? And why can't we have our own identity? Everything we do, think about this, you guys. everything we do, everything we create, everything we have. What's the first thing they say? Oh, that goes back to Africa. That ties back to Africa. We don't even understand how much power words have. When everything we do and everything we create, we always want to attribute it back to a place or a land that none of us not even have been for the last 5 to 6 generations. You are basically stripping the identity, and you are stripping you are stripping yourself of being something and someone who can be on their own and stand on their own and create. Everything we do don't come from no goddamn Africa. I'm sorry, it doesn't. I know they taught us we got off the boat, so every single thing, if we can't tie it to nothing, the first thing we do is tie it to Africa. I get it. But everything we do don't come from Africa. There were black people all over this land, all over the world, Craig, not just Africa. Everything does not tie back to Africa. It just doesn't. It annoys me. Well, oh, the banjo. Oh, that's how you know that was black. That's a instrument that was tied back to Africa. Do me a favor, get me up here. Think about this. This is a rhetorical question. You ain't got to answer. What part of Africa today using a banjo? If anybody can help me out, what part of Africa in the world today uses a banjo in music? I'll wait. Is it possible that the brown or copper colored people here created the banjo? Is it possible that the people who were already here, let's just say we African slaves, who gives a fuck? Is it possible that we as descendants of so-called slaves, we created the banjo? Why everything got to go back to Africa? I ain't never seen a banjo in Africa in my life. Stop attributing everything to Africa, because if the blues, country, pop, and all that shit originated in Africa, why is it owned here and not Africa? Why are they over there doing Afro beats? If it was an African thing, don't you think that we would all be doing sort of the same thing? Shouldn't we be over there doing the Afro beats and shit too? And shouldn't they be down there doing, like, creating more R&B and more genres? They're not, because we are the creators of that. It's us. We are the creators of that. I just wanted to get that rant off. I'm sorry, y'all. It just be driving me when they be trying to attribute everything to Africa. How, Sway, when 6-7 generations pass, and I'm gonna say 6-7 because hell, right now we know 3 generations today, and that shit only go back to the early 1900s. So I would say 8 to 10 generations back, we were already here. It may be, just maybe, our ancestors who were here created the motherfucking banjo. Maybe. How about that? And it didn't come from no goddamn Africa. I'm just saying, stop stripping yourself of your power. Stop stripping yourself of your power and attributing everything to Africa, a place that you know nothing about. You don't have no soul ties to Africa. I promise you, you don't. You don't have no soul ties to Africa. I promise you don't. It'll be posted, Wallace. Let's get into this doggone documentary. They had some good stuff in here. Hold on.
And is it detrimental? I feel it doesn't give us any association past the slave ship.
I think let me back it up. Hold on.
The task of people of African descent.
Hold on, let me back it up.
This term Negro demoralizes us, and is it detrimental? I feel it doesn't give us any association past the slave ship.
All right, listen to what he's saying. At this time, we are classified as Negro. That's who we are. We're Negro. What he's saying is, it's time for us to move to another term, because, you know, the word Negro don't give us no identity past the slave ship. This is when they are going to start implementing African American, or African, not African American, I'm sorry. This is where they're implementing the idea that we all come from Africa, not the term. Right here is where they're going to start teaching people, or they're teaching people, hey, y'all, we African. And I know them elders was like, nigga, what? Yeah, we African. How, Sway? Because the research said it. What? That's why you got this black man ready to call himself black, from Negro saying, hey, I feel like the term Negro don't give us no identity past slavery.
Understood are the world's people. This term Negro.
The following program is from NET, the National Educational Television Network.
The people now called Negroes are the most written about and the least understood are the world's people. This term Negro demoralizes us and is detrimental. I feel it doesn't give us any association past the slave ship.
I think that the first task of people of African descent, whether in the United States or in Africa or elsewhere, is to get rid of this slave named Negro.
This curious word Negro was seldom or never used.
Can I tell y'all, every 30 to 40 years, we get a new name. In 65, we went from Negroes to Black. Or around the 60s. They introduced the idea that we come from Africa in this time. But now we're changing names. Now it's time for us to get a new identity, a new misnomer. A misnomer is a wrong name. It's all it is. It's purposely giving somebody wrong names. Let's get into what the clear man said. And see, before we move on facts is bullshit on bullshit. We are from Africans first. Origins of us are Africans simply because of our color. That is the dumbest shit I ever heard, facts on facts. That is, so you mean if just because your color, that means you from Africa? That's what you're trying to say? So if anybody has any, see, but that's, again, they will call me a conspiracy theorist. Oh, conspiracy theory. And people like bullshit on bullshit over here will come up here and give me some out of Africa theory bullshit. Oh, yeah. You didn't know the out of Africa thing was a theory? Y'all didn't know that. Y'all didn't know all of this slave shit is all a theory. Did y'all not know that? Look, we got another one. Look at Yolanda. Wrong. We got another one. But you know what? Not tonight. See, this is fact. Stop calling this education. This is pure opinion. We still haven't been able to prove that we even came from slave ships, baby. We still haven't been able to prove that slave ships even existed. We still have not been able to prove that slave ships even existed. There's no remains. There's no nothing. Yes, we were everywhere, but we were Africans. All right, girl. I'm going to get you up out of here because I feel like you just going to be commenting too much. All right, girl. Let me get you up out of here. Go over there to Dr. Umar and them. Go by Dr. Umar and them. That's your channel. This ain't the place for you, fat. I'm going to get you up out of here. This ain't your setting. Go by Dr. Umar. If y'all believe, listen, and this is the thing. There you go. They found the Titanic, but no slave ships. And don't talk about the one that washed up allegedly on shore in Alabama. That was already proven to be fake. We going over terms in which, because see, I don't know who this facts on facts person is. They could be a clear person. I don't know. So I'm going to just get them up out of here. But let me just say this, y'all. At the end of the day, we are going through terms and misnomers. This is facts. The misnomers that happened in history, those are facts. I don't care what this lady was saying. Misnomers are facts, okay? I promise you. So let them go on with the theory because they still can't tie themselves back to Africa. I tell you what, If Facts on Facts got on a plane right now and carried her ass down to Africa, I guarantee you they won't accept the girl. You ain't no goddamn African, but go ahead on if that's what you feel. Let's move on. Let's get into these misnomers. Now, the clear man is going to come in and speak about what he believes we are. Okay? Listen to this good. The clear man is going to talk about what he says we are. Let's get into it. This is why I'm trying to tell you, some people just ain't going to get it, and that's fine.
In Africa itself. And this word has no meaning or no worthwhile meaning at all in Africa. I would doubt myself if it has any useful meaning anywhere.
African descent, whether in the United States or in Africa or elsewhere, is to get rid of this slave named Negro.
This curious word Negro was seldom or never used in Africa itself. And this word has no meaning or no worthwhile meaning at all in Africa.
Pause. If the word Negro was not used in Africa nowhere, where did the clear man come from with the word? You know, Negro is literally, or Negro is literally of the color black in Spanish. But if it's not a word that was never used in Africa, how the hell did they come up with the term to call us that? And then, okay, go ahead, sir.
I would doubt myself if it has any useful meaning anywhere else.
What is a Negro?
And then let me just think about it like this. He said the word Negro has no relation or anything in Africa. Make me bigger, please. Listen to what I'm saying, because Fact on Fact is an idiot. If the term Negro in which they were calling us has no tie to Africa, right? He gave us the name. It has no tie to Africa. Would that not play into what I'm trying to say as far as them trying to say we're from Africa when truly we're not? Because if we were really from Africa, why would they give us a name that has nothing to do with Africa? Think about it. If we were from Africa, why would we have names that has nothing to do with Africa? See, at this point, what they're doing is they're playing catch up. Oh shit, in order for them to believe that they were slaves, we need to give them a name that ties them to Africa. Are we getting it? Now, see, this is real time. The girl Fact on Fact, she just gonna come in here and just drag. This is real time. He's saying the word Negro don't have no tie to Africa. So what he's doing is trying to tie you mentally, emotionally to a place. That's why your name's turned. That's why your name turned. Let's get into it.
Simple question.
And then I saw somebody say they burned the ships. I doubt that too. Let me tell you why. They burnt the ships, but they still got the so-called shackles. Ain't they in the museum? Ain't when you go to the African American History Museum up in there in DC and all around the world, don't they have the shackles and the thing they used to have around your neck? They got all that. Why y'all burnt the ships? If y'all got all that other stuff, why y'all burnt the ships? Keep the ships. Let's tell the whole story. If y'all gonna keep the chains and the whips and the whipping posts, and why burn the ship? At least keep one. At least one. Either you trying to get rid of it, of the history, or you not. I'm just using common sense, y'all. I don't know. I'm just saying I'm using common sense. And not to mention this, and I learned this on Dane Calloway. Shout out to Dane Calloway. They say, where are the pictures of the ships? Do you know when you really think back to the ships that they show you, they're all drawings? And I don't want to hear they wasn't having photography back then, Cap. There were drawings. They drew that shit. It ain't even, there's nothing to prove that a ship ever brought you over here. Not to mention the navigation through the waters from Africa, through the Atlantic Ocean, transatlantic slave ship, on a wooden ship with rows, not a big ship that got a machine. I'm talking about the wooden one with rows. Girl, it would not have made it, y'all. It would not have made it. Physically impossible, scientifically impossible to get that ship from Africa through the troubled Atlantic Ocean waters. You can't do it. But I'm just saying, they saved the whips and the chains, but they ain't saved the boat. Y'all ain't got a piece of plywood from the boat, bitch. All right. Okay, let's get into it.
But the answer is not so simple. My name is Ossie Davis. I'm an actor and a writer, and the narrator of our series of programs on the history of the Negro people. I am also a Negro. What is a Negro? In Africa, the word Negro has no meaning. In Brazil, a Negro is a man who's very poor and very black. And in the United States, a man who has any quantity of Negro blood, or whatever that is.
Listen to what he just said. Listen to what he just said. He said, what is a Negro? In Africa, it has no meaning. In Brazil, it is a very poor black man. In America, basically, it really don't have no meaning. It's just whatever. Oh, y'all can't see the video. My bad. Let me let y'all see the video. I'm gonna run him back. My bad. I had to get me up here. I'm about to run him back. He said, what is a Negro? I'm gonna let him run it back. Hold on.
My name is Ossie Davis. I'm an actor and a writer, and the narrator of our series of programs on the history of the Negro people. I am also a Negro. What is a Negro? In Africa, the word Negro has no meaning. In Brazil, a Negro is a man who's very poor and very black. And in the United States, a man who has any quantity of Negro blood, or whatever that is considered a Negro. Our Negroes are raised.
How does that make sense? In Africa, it has no meaning. In Brazil, it is a very poor and very black man. But in America, it's whoever got Negro blood or whatever that is. How does that make sense? How does this literally make sense, you guys? Think about what we're saying. See, this out of Africa theory has been taught to our parents when they were younger and passed down generations through generations. How is it that we're Negroes and they were able to call us that and it has no ties to Africa? Also, if it has no ties to Africa, why now are you trying to tie us to Africa in 1965? Ozzy was not who you thought he was. I know I like Ozzy too. I thought he was a really nice older man. Ozzy was a goddamn op too. Ozzy was an actor. He was paid to do what he's doing right now, reading off what them people told him. Because they're not going to hear it straight from them. We got to get one of us to tell us too. Unfortunately.
A people or a condition? Our programs will be asking this question in many ways and in many different settings. Our Odyssey will take us.
Yes, Kay. Ozzy. Yes, Kay. Kay said, no, not Ozzy. Yes, girl. Yes, ma'am.
Throughout the world, to Africa, where we will explore the relationship of American Negroes to the land of their origin. To Brazil, where we will ask, is Brazil a racial paradise? And throughout the United States. Our aim in this series is both a modest and an ambitious one. We will be asking many questions and perhaps answer only a few. For there is a vast ignorance of Negro history among whites and Negroes, and the job of filling this vacuum is massive. Do Negroes have a heritage and a tradition like the Greeks, the French, the Anglo-Saxons? Or are we something less, as others have portrayed us? Everywhere we have looked, we have seen Negroes as savage and barbaric, humble and self-sacrificing.
Pay attention. Everything he's showing you, which is what they portray the Negro as, is in a movie or a play. Everything he's showing you is a movie or a play. He's not going to no neighborhoods and looking at it. These are all movies and plays.
Scared and childish and inferior. And I remember as a kid coming from some of the pictures, and we spent the whole time from the motion picture house to home satirizing the Negro performances we saw in the film. Well, it was also an admission that somehow or other this was, to some degree, what we were. Now, these important and very, very impressionistic things that we got from these films did, to some degree, govern our behavior. When a Negro child goes into a movie, for instance, and sees himself or sees another Negro in an unfavorable light, he feels, to some degree, threatened. He feels uncomfortable, and a great deal of his laughing at that situation will be the kind of laughter that protects him. It's a nervous attack against him, himself, the way he looks at himself, the esteem with which he holds himself, and how he will rate with his fellows in the streets. You know, it's seeing something happen to you that you can't control, which leaves a scar, which leaves you feeling inadequate. You know, you don't feel loved. You're ashamed to look at yourself, ashamed to go home, ashamed to talk to the boys next door, ashamed even to ask these questions of your parents, although sometimes you do. It's a horrible situation, and sometimes we never get over that.
As a Negro, I have honestly tried to believe that I was somebody, and I've always fought during my life to keep that feeling that I did have some value. And I say value knowing what that word means. And there's been many a night in my life when I went to sleep and known very deep inside me that I really wasn't worth much.
Let me tell you something. The amount of mental and spiritual warfare they played on us is through the roof. We literally create everything in the world. Culture-wise, we are the it thing. And they have us believing and had us believing that we were so less than, that people we don't even believe that we capable of doing the things that we do. So much so they got us so programmed to attribute everything back to Africa. You see what I'm saying? Before they would even consider that maybe, just maybe, the so-called Black or so-called Negro person, maybe you are capable of creating something. Maybe you are that great. It's programming. It's what it is.
Fair.
Oh, yes, you know, that wish I was white kind of thing, when you begin to sort of get the feeling of difference, like maybe you're dirty, something's wrong. But there was that feeling, you know, so early you can't even remember where it started. I'm not over it yet. It's part of my American heritage.
We were told we were a people without a past and without a future.
Emphasis on this part. See, this is in 1965. I'm not arguing with nobody who wasn't there. In 1965, even I.C. said, we were told we were a people without a past and without a future. Everything that we know about us, we were told by people who aren't us. That's crazy to me. And we really will go windmilling and acting a fool behind something they said. Our people didn't tell us this, and the ones who did tell us this is because they were told by the clear people. The fact that they tell us and it literally governs our lives is insane to me. It's crazy to me.
And Negro boys and girls learned before very long that they were something special.
You know, at an early age, as soon as you start school, you begin to catch on to the whole racial thing. But once you get into school, you begin to know it and know there's a difference, and that the difference is against you.
There's no real reference to me as a Negro or to my father or any of the other Negroes who have contributed so much to the growth of the United States. And I really can't understand it.
I'll never forget the picture in the geography book of couple of very ragged Africans, you know. Weeks before we got to the lesson, we were steeling ourselves for it. Some Negro child would find the picture first in the book before we got to the lesson and alert everyone. Look on page 22, you'd see what's there. And then we dreaded reaching that lesson because it was always something about the savages not knowing anything. And we had to sit there and hear this, and instinctively the white children would turn and look at the Negro children, you know, while this lesson was going on.
Listen, programming, they give the, first of all, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. They use the children to input every single thing. So what do? Put it in your books. And they got black and white children in the same school. And on one page in the book, they got some old dusty, rusty Africans living in a hut on dirt roads. And the black people is like, oh my God, I'm dreading to see this. And the clear kids is over there saying, Does that not create an inferiority and a superiority complex between the two? Does that not make the clear kids think I'm better than them because they came from nothing, dirt, dusty huts? And does that not also make the black child think, oh shit, I really ain't shit. I have no hope. Look at what the book says I am. I have nothing. It's all programming. This is why racism occurs, because children are taught to be racist. Racism is a learned behavior. They either taught through their parents or they taught through the schools. The schools in 1965 was literally teaching racism. They were teaching the clear kids that you got to be better than them because look at the picture. They come from nothing. And it taught the black kids, I am so inferior to these clear kids because look at this picture. I come from nothing. That's crazy, ain't it?
And so Africa became our shame and our torment.
So Africa done became our shame and our torment. Prior to that, we didn't think we was Africans, but now they putting it in the books. It's all over the place. Now I guess we African, y'all.
We were told that our past was barbarism and the white man our redeemer. Slavery was
They said we were barbaric and the clear man was the redeemer. He came and saved us. That's what they said. We were the barbaric creatures and they were the saviors. Mind you, if we start looking at empires in Africa, Africa was more forward with technology. Africa was more forward with every single thing going on in the world. It was like the breeding ground as far as like what was going on forward thinking wise. Yet they showed us a book that Africa is just dirt roads, huts, and people with flies flying around their face. Mind you, it took for me to be an adult to understand and realize Africa is beautiful. Hell, certain parts of Africa look better than Atlanta. It's quiet as it's kept. Quiet as it's kept. Certain parts of Africa, Nigeria, South Africa look better than Atlanta, New York.
Not a sin, but salvation. If few of us had anything to look forward to, we were afraid to look back. In 1958, Lorraine Hansberry wrote a play, A Raisin in the Sun.
A play
that showed the conflicts created for American Negroes by their African past.
I don't want to play the music. Oh, look, watch her. Look, this is another form of programming. This is a play where this young lady right here, she thinks she's Nigerian. Watch this. Watch this.
Well, what have we got on tonight? You are now looking at what a well-dressed Nigerian woman would wear. Isn't that beautiful?
Hey, look, honey, we're going to the theater.
Did y'all peep? She turned off her own culture shit to go into that Nigerian bullshit. Watch this. She's saying you now looking at a beautiful Nigerian, what they will wear, right? Now, the music playing in the background would be what I would call Negro music. She turned that shit off so that she can fully focus and indulge herself into the Nigerian culture. Don't 23andMe say that's where we from when y'all do y'all DNAs and all of that? This is in 58. This ain't 65. This 58. Peep this. Watch her.
Nigerian woman would wear.
Go look at the music. Look. Gave disdain to the shit you created. The shit you created because you so engulfed in being from Nigeria or some form of Africa, that shit's annoying to you now. Now you just like turn this shit off. Do you see what mental programming and you see what that does?
Hey, look, honey, we're going to the theater. We're not going to be in it, you know.
George, I don't like that. Do you expect this boy to go out with you looking like that? Well, now that's up to George, if he's ashamed of his heritage.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Here we go again. A lecture on our African past, on our great West African heritage. In 1 second, you know, we're going to hear all about the great Ashanti empires, the Songhay civilizations, the sculpture of Benin, some poems in the Bantu, and then the whole monologue is going to end up with the word heritage.
See how our people wasn't on this bullshit? Do you see how our people wasn't on? She the only one out of three, is one out of three people. She the only one hollering, oh, you just ashamed of your African heritage. He looking like, bitch, please. Girl, what? Here she go. Now, next thing you know, she gonna be talking about this. She gonna be talking about that. Girl, go lay down. That's what he's giving to me. That's what he's giving to me. Even the woman standing, I think that's her mama. Like, girl, please, for real, come on now, chill. These two people are not on board with this African shit. Remember, I told you, everything comes through the children. Not only does it come through the children, once you get some people to latch onto it, you get the real weirdos like the girl we just had here, facts on facts. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you went to McMain, Kim K? Girl, they made us see this play in school, McMain High School. All right, yay. I didn't know you went to McMain. But none of them is on board with the bullshit. Peep.
Let's face it, baby, your heritage ain't nothing but a bunch of raggedy spirituals and some grass huts.
Grass huts? Oh, you see, George, you think you would rather stand there in your splendid ignorance and know absolutely nothing about the people who were the first to smelt iron on the face of this earth while the Ashantis were performing surgical operations?
Now pause. She said, how dare you? You want to basically try to shit on the people who were the first on the face of this earth. Then she started talking about how the Ashanti, I guess that's a tribe, was performing surgeries first. Well, if they were performing surgeries, why they got in the book the Africans looking like they ain't shit, living in huts with flies flying around their face? Y'all remember that commercial when they say donate to a child 20 cents a day, and they'll have a little African child with the beady bees and snot running out his nose, and he's skinny with a big old stomach, and they'll be playing in the arms of an angel you will find, and they'll say for 20 cents a day you can sponsor a child, and then they play the song in the arms of an... Y'all remember that? An angel. Y'all remember that? I know I used to remember that. I used to think that's how Africans in Africa was. Programming. Do you hear me? And then they say, call now so that you can sponsor a child for just 20 cents a day. And it's always a clear woman get up there. For 20 cents a day, you too can sponsor a family. So please, dial the 1-800, no, it used to be 1-900. Dial the 1-900 number, and they got the music in the background. In the arms of an angel. And then they got the kid. He got flies flying around him, snot coming out his nose. He real little. He's skinny, but he got a big old stomach like he pregnant. And he holding there. He's sitting there twisting his hair and just sitting there. Don't know why the camera's there. And the music. In the arms of an angel. Girl, please, them people done played it out face for how many years? How many years? And look, see, I'm so glad you say this, Mihi. Mihi would say, yup, wait, I missed it. Hold on, let me go get it. Mihi said, listen. Yup, and our mama used to use them kids to make us eat all our food. First thing you do, Mom, I'm hungry. Go in that kitchen and get some. Why we can't eat McDonald's? I ain't got no McDonald's money. You got McDonald's money? No. Well, I don't want to eat whatever it is you cook. They got starving kids in Africa. Didn't your mama say that? They got starving children in Africa. Wish they could have the food that you have. Get your ass in that kitchen and eat that. Girl, crazy. Do you hear me? Crazy. They used to use that. They got starving children in Africa. They don't know that to be fact. They just remember the commercial. In the arms of an angel, you will find. That's all they know. They don't know if them fucking children down there starving. Whole time we thinking they starving. Them fucking children living in glass mansions and shit. Girl, the America ain't shit, girl. I don't care what nobody say. America ain't shit, okay? Do you hear me? Girl, they had us fooled, girl. But anyway, back to this. She's really on this Nigerian shit, and these two ain't here for it. Check it out, girl.
When the English were still tattooing themselves with blue dragons.
At the Heritage Program of How You Act, a federally sponsored effort to develop better opportunities for Harlem's Negro youth, a new version of African history is being taught. Robert Moore is a visiting lecturer.
So in 65, a new version of African history is being taught. Remember, they keep updating. They update now. You know, now in history class, they don't teach your children that they were slaves. They say they were indentured servants. They keep updating this shit. They keep updating it to keep you confused and discombobulated.
Mr. Moore, do you think that the so-called Negro would dignify his identity by associating himself with his ancestral background from Africa?
After some 300 or 400 years of transplantation from Africa into America, it is obvious that we are not Africans anymore. We are Afro-Americans, Americans of African ancestry.
This is before the hairstyle. You know, Afro is a hairstyle. You know that, right? Y'all remember the Afro in the 70s? That is a hairstyle. He said, because we done been here at least 3 to 4 generations, we not African. I mean, we not slaves no more. We Afro-Americans. They done named us after a goddamn hairstyle. You know what I'm saying? Now we a hairstyle before the hairstyle become popular. Mind you, the kente cloth, although stolen, was popularized in America, not Africa. The Africans started wearing the kente cloth after we started wearing it. Did y'all know that? Y'all knew that? I bet y'all didn't know that. The Africans didn't wear the kente cloth till we started wearing it. You get it? Ain't it crazy? Crazy is the least of it, girl.
And that connects us, basically, with our original heritage and culture.
The accomplishments of Africa before and after
Director of the program is John Henrik Clark.
accomplishment is generally glossed over or neglected in human history. A lot of the misconception of Africa and the distortion of African history is involved in a word that is relatively new, the word Negro, a kind of nickname that grew out of European laziness, the inability or the lack of a desire to give Africans their proper identity. In the period when the Europeans had to justify the exploitation of Africa and the demeaning of a whole people, they systematically started the effort to read the African out of human history.
A great deal of
Did y'all understand what he was saying? Hold on, clear, man. Did y'all understand what he was saying? He was basically saying that the clear people named us Negroes, but they were trying at the time, from how I'm gathering, and I'm gonna play it back. It sounded like he was saying they were trying to rid us from the history of Africa. Let me play it back.
And the demeaning of a whole people, they systematically started the effort to read the African out of human history.
A great deal of ignorance.
The word Negro, a kind of nickname that grew out of European laziness, the inability or the lack of a...
Let me say this. He's saying that the Europeans, the clear people, is the ones gave us the name Negro. I don't think so, y'all. But who knows? They done gave us all these other names.
desire to give Africans their proper identity. In the period when the Europeans had to justify the exploitation of Africa and the demeaning of a whole people, they systematically started the effort to read the African out of human history.
A great deal of our ignorance of African history sits upon the old conservative racial discrimination and prejudice which we have had in
Basil Davidson is a British writer and historian on Africa.
United States. It still sits upon the belief, perfectly unscientific, quite unbased in any scholarly discipline, that the Africans, that is to say, if you like, the Negroes, are people of some sort of inferiority to others, and therefore have not been able to develop in the same way. Now, you know, the great myth of the colonial era, the great myth took the shape of saying that the Africans, the Negroes, are children, and because they are children, it said, failing to develop, we, the Europeans, you, the Americans, must go in there and show them the way they should go, civilize them, introduce them to the blessings of orderly life.
Y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? He said, did you hear what he just said? He said that Africans and Negroes, mind you, they tell you the truth. You just got to listen. Africans and Negroes were childlike. The Europeans were like parents, failing to develop. Yes. So what their job was to do was to come in and civilize so-called Africans and so-called Negroes because they basically needed them. Think about that. That's right now. If y'all see a clear man come on here and talk about the history of hip hop and say he's a hip hop historian, put a 1 in the chat if you'll take his word for face value. If a clear man right now came on here and say he is a hip hop historian, put a 1 in the chat if you taking everything he's saying for truth, or put a 2 in the chat if you like, man, you don't know what the fuck you talking about. I love how Dane Calloway always say everything happened in reverse, because this clear man is over here telling us that he civilized us, when the fact of the matter is, no shade, no tea, the black people, so-called black people, taught clear people how to bathe. They didn't even bathe. They still don't even do it right in 2024. We teach them how to cook. They steal everything we do. Style, clothes, words, shoes, everything we do. So you mean to tell me that y'all civilized us, but yet when I look around today, I see y'all stealing and learning everything from... All right, Fade. Girl, y'all got to start making this stuff make normal sense. You listen, this is what I learned, y'all. This stuff is not complicated. You just have to sit down and think. Think about what you're listening to. Think about what you're looking at. Always think about what you're hearing and then look at what you're looking at. The old saying is nothing is new under the sun. That's the old saying. There's nothing new under the sun. What that simply means, everything that's done now has been done in the past. So if that is the case, and this clear man is sitting up here telling us that we were so uncouth, uncivilized, that they had to come and save us and civilize us because we were childlike, look around at what's going on today. Is it more of them copying us, or them taking from us, or us taking from them? It's a valid question. Put a 1 in the chat if they take more from us. Put a 2 in the chat if we take more from them. Because I'm looking from where I'm sitting at, they take everything from us. They literally take everything from us. Everything. Think about it. Just give yourself a chance to think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Lingo, music. The clear people are the face of country music. Who created country music? I'll wait. The clear people are the face of pop music. Who created pop music? I'll wait. The black people, I said the clear, I'm sorry. The black people created seasoning, taste in food. So, not for the most part, but who cooking like us? And I'm talking about all over the world, Craig, not just America, all over the world. Because guess what? In Italy, the first Italians look like that. They wasn't the ones you see there. They look like that. Quiet as is kept. Braids. Everything. Everything. And you want me to believe that you went found us childlike and you saved us? And then by some miraculous meteor, something happened and the tide switched to where now instead of you saving us, we literally saving you and we don't even know it. Oh, sir, go lay down, Mr. Clearman. Yes, the first Chinese look like us. The first people were us. The first people, listen, like I said, whenever people tell you something crazy, keep this rule in your head. There's nothing new under the sun. What's the other phrase? Everything you did has already been done. Shout out to Lauryn Hill. Everything you did has already been done. There's nothing new under the sun. So if everything we've done has already been done and there's nothing new under the sun, when these people sit up here and tell you you're inferior and that you need them instead of them needing us, think about it. If black people were to stop playing any sport right now, football, basketball, hell, baseball, if the black Hispanics left out of baseball, you think, put a one in the chat if you think that shit is still going on, because it won't. If black people opted out of entertainment right now, I'm talking about acting, dancing, singing, any form of entertainment. When black people leave, it dies. It dies. But they done got us to believe in the opposite. Even though when you open your eyes, but not these two, that third eye, and you get to looking around, you realize, oh, these bitches done played in our face. Oh, them some dirty bitches. That's how I feel to me. That's how I feel to me. And when I come across people like the girl Fact on Fact who was in here, who's just hell-bent on saying that this is my opinion, I'm just showing you. I ain't saying it. They said it. I'm showing you what they said. And this person is so many other black people like this person. They won't even try to entertain the idea that maybe, just maybe, it could be something different from what we know. No, because these people are stuck on stupid. We have to be careful. And listen, this shit is not hard. All you really have to do is pay attention. Take mental notes and pay attention. Like, oh, okay, you said we were Afro-Americans. Cool. You might run across another video. What is the origin of the Afro? Or what is the Afro? Oh, it's a hairstyle. They named a whole group of people after a fucking hairstyle. They don't even do that to the Africans. Think about this. They don't even do this to the Africans. They literally do not do that. Why are they doing it to us and not the Africans? Think about it. They don't even do this to the Africans. They colonize Africa just as well as they colonize here. They don't do that to the Africans, but they doing it to us. Ask yourself why. Okay? I'm just saying. We on 3 hours. We are on 3 whole hours. Y'all, we got more coming. Don't worry about it. We'll finish it up next week. I want to shout out everybody. First of all, if you haven't liked the video, please like it. The video, please. Thank you. Also, I want to shout out everybody who sent me a super chat. Thank you, Empress. It says, thanks to you, doll. Thank you, Jada. It says, thank you, YouTube sis. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, y'all. Thank you. Hold on. Thank you, Nikki, for love. I don't always comment, but I'm always here. Thank you, Nikki, so much. I appreciate you. Thank you, Trudy, for love you, Voodoo. This is True. All right. Keep doing you, boo. All right, True. Thank you, my love. Who else we got? China Doll, thank you. She says, love you. Oh, thank you. Who else we got on here? Sheila, Shishi, thank you so much for the Cash App. I appreciate you, my love. Kenny, thank you for the Cash App. Who else on here? Oh, Auntie Rochelle, you always bless me. Thank you for gift of love and gratitude. Thank you so much, Auntie Rochelle. You always blessing me. Thank you so much. And then we got Patricia. Thank you for the Cash App. And then we have one more. Misha, thank you for the Cash App. Live hitting Peace Pisces season. Oh, yeah, Pisces season. I'm sorry. Oh, it's going to be up when I get off, y'all. It's going to be up when I get off. And again, like I said, when we come back next week, we're going to finish going over this misnomer stuff because I think we really need to dive deep into this. Okay? But I appreciate all of y'all for being here. If y'all haven't followed me on all platforms, please do. Facebook, Instagram, Patreon. Everything is Voodoo Doll TV. Please follow me, okay? I appreciate y'all so much for being here. Thank y'all so much. I'm about to get off of here, girl, and sit down and rest my nerves for a minute. I love you guys, and I'll see y'all tomorrow at some point in time. I do have to work, but whatever. I'll see y'all tomorrow at some point in time, and we'll discuss something else going on in pop culture. But see y'all back here next Friday for Educational Friday. Y'all are nothing short of amazing. And also, do y'all think I should start putting the chats on subscriber mode only on Educational Friday? I think that's what we should do. I think for Educational Friday, we might have to go to subscriber mode. I think that'll cut down on the bull. I think so. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, I love y'all so much for being here. Thank y'all so much. I'll see y'all later. Bye, y'all.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. We live, baby. Come on. That's right. Okay. Can you hear me now? Oh, let's go. It's your boy Big Chew, the voice of the beat. You know what I won't blaze up. Come on, blaze up.
It's the beat for me.
Wah 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 wah. For your guy, for your B-O-Y. Drop it for your guy, for your B-O-Y. Do it for your guy, for your B-O-Y. Come on, baby, we are. For your boy. For your boy. Also for your boy. Fix it for your boy. Drop it for your, lift it up. Then it bust it open, lift it up. Yeah, come on, lift it up. Then it bust it open for your B-O-Y. Then it for your rockin' for your lift it up, baby. Mix it with your bust or not. Come on, Blaze, you know. Drop me a nasty beat.
Mr. Carroll, how you give the voodoo doll time to talk? I don't get no fucking time to talk.
Who the voodoo doll is?
The nigga you just had up here.